It's time. After many years of silence, Princess Diana's sister, Lady Sarah McCorquodale, at 60 years old, has finally decided to speak up and reveal all the secrets that many have been wondering about for so long. The rumors about Diana's private life, her relationship with Charles, and the controversial events within the royal family, all of these are now being clarified by Sarah in this video. The untold details and insights from a unique perspective will surely surprise you. If you're curious about these secrets, leave a 1 in the comments. If not, comment 0 to let us know your thoughts. Don't forget to enjoy the video and hit the subscribe button to support the channel. Beyond her role as a sister, Lady Elizabeth Sarah Lavinia McCorquodale, born on March 19, 1955, has dropped a bombshell after years of silence and avoiding the painful issues surrounding her sister Diana. She has found the courage to answer the questions on many people's minds in a documentary honoring Princess Diana. Sarah opened up about the events leading to Diana's death. She mentioned that her sister was very serious about wearing her seatbelt, so why didn't she do so? That night, Sarah also expressed her frustration when people kept saying that Diana was injured and expected to recover that night in the tragic accident. Have you ever wondered what happened? We understand there is still much to clarify. So sit back and relax as we dive into Lady Sarah's life and why she became the focal point of the rumors surrounding her sister's death. Sarah McCorquodale is the eldest of 4 children born to a member of the British aristocracy. She is 2 years older than Jane Fellows and 6 years older than Diana. Their parents were John Spencer and Frances Shand Kidd. The Spencer siblings grew up around the royal family as 4 of their grandmothers served as ladies-in-waiting to Queen Elizabeth. Sarah and her siblings lived at Park House, a rented home on the Queen's estate at Sandringham. Sarah and Diana shared a good relationship, with many believing that Diana viewed Sarah as a hero. However, their relationship with their parents was unstable. Their parents couldn't resolve their issues, leading to separation and divorce in 1969. Sarah's mother, Frances, longed for freedom and quickly remarried Peter Shand Kidd. When Sarah's father was given the title of Earl, Sarah was granted the title of Lady, and her family moved to live at Althorpe. Later, Sarah's father married Rain, the Countess of Dark, a decision that was not accepted by the Spencer children, causing tension between them and their stepmother for many years. Sarah filled the gap in Diana's life, helping her adjust to having a new stepmother. Although Diana admitted she didn't like her stepmother and had an unstable childhood, Sarah did her best to support her. But did Sarah, who always wanted the best for her sister, truly lead Diana down a dark path? The story of Princess Diana and the royal family's secrets has always attracted attention, and now, with the revelations from her sister, Lady Sarah, everything will be clarified. Do you have any questions about Diana's life or the royal family? Leave your questions or thoughts in the comments. Don't forget to like the video and subscribe to the channel so you don't miss other fascinating stories. Before Diana became one of the most famous figures in history, she was an ordinary girl. Diana was homeschooled under the supervision of her governess, Gertrude Allen. She only began formal schooling when her father believed she could take care of herself. Diana attended Silfield Private School in Norfolk, and later went to Riddlesworth Hall, an all-girls boarding school. At the age of 9, Diana was allowed to join her sisters at West Heath School in Sevenoaks, where she learned to build charisma and became one of the outstanding students due to her community spirit. After completing her education at 16, Diana wanted to try everything. She loved music and became a talented pianist. Diana also enjoyed swimming, but what she loved most was learning ballet and tap dance. She once said that if she weren't a princess, she would have loved to become a dancer. Diana wasn't afraid to explore the world. She moved to London and lived in an apartment with other girls, learning how to live and taking life as it came. There were rumors that Diana worked as a nanny, taught dance to young people, was a nursery assistant, and even worked as a party hostess. She found her place in London and became best known for working as a teaching assistant at the Young England School in Pimlico. A while later, Diana lived with Sarah. It was during this time that Prince Charles entered Diana's life. Sarah was the one who introduced Diana to the prince during a visit to the Spencer family home at Althorpe in 1977, when Diana was 16 and Charles was 29. The prince was there for a hunting trip, and Diana recalls that they met in the middle of a plowed field. According to an article in the Daily Times, when Charles looked at Diana, he thought she would make a suitable wife and future queen, while Diana was captivated by the young prince. Before meeting Diana, Charles had had several romantic relationships, and this wasn't the first time the prince had set his sights on a girl from the Spencer family. In 1981, they began dating in 1980. And it took them 13 meetings before they publicly announced their engagement and marriage. Diana initially denied rumors about their engagement until they were ready to make it official. Everyone was happy for the new couple, and Queen Elizabeth II also took a liking to Diana. Sarah also approved of her sister's relationship with the man who would become king. After their engagement, Diana gave up her job as a nursery teacher's assistant and temporarily lived at the Queen's mother's residence, Clarence House. She later moved to Buckingham Palace, and their wedding in July 1981 was held at St. Paul's Cathedral. It became one of the most watched events in history, with over 750 million people tuning in to watch the fairy tale wedding on television, and thousands of people lined the streets hoping to catch a glimpse of the couple. After their marriage, Diana became the Princess of Wales, and the public immediately embraced her as she carried out her royal duties. She represented the Queen on many occasions, one of which was at a Commonwealth event. People thought of Diana as a shy princess, but she had a unique charm and allure. She had a kind heart and dedicated much of her energy to charity work, including campaigns against the stigma surrounding AIDS patients, which drew attention from many. The Princess of Wales was seen alongside AIDS patients, treating them with kindness to change the public's perception of the disease. She also advocated for the removal of landmines and joined the International Red Cross. Charity was not just a duty for Diana, it was her purpose in life. Her smile, kindness, and demeanor won the hearts of many. Diana was not just the Princess of Wales, she was the princess of people's hearts. She was not a beautiful woman who sat back waiting to be served, but a woman who loved to take the initiative and get things done. You might wonder where was her sister when Diana joined the royal family. By the time Charles and Diana got engaged, Sarah was married to Neil McCorquodale, with whom she had 3 children, George, Emily, and Celia. Sarah and the princess remained close after Diana married Charles. She was also involved in royal duties and sometimes accompanied Diana on official trips as a lady-in-waiting. One such trip was a royal visit to Nepal in 1993. Although she didn't appear much in the media, Sarah was always present in her sister's life. There were rumors that the affair between Charles and Camilla had started before and continued throughout their marriage. It seemed that everyone knew about this relationship, which made Diana start to realize her husband's romantic history. The princess began to look at things from a different perspective, and this was one of the hardest challenges she had to face. Charles's response, when asked about love in a previous interview, shocked Diana and everyone else. When asked if they were in love, Diana quickly and happily said yes, while Charles coldly replied, "Whatever love means." At the time, it seemed strange, but only later did Diana understand that she was not the only woman in Charles's life. Initially, Queen Elizabeth II had a positive impression of Diana due to her noble background. She believed Diana would easily adapt to royal life. However, over time, the differences between Diana and the Queen became more apparent. Diana was very open about her emotions, especially when she was feeling sad, while the Queen always kept her emotions under wraps, maintaining a calm and composed demeanor. This created a significant issue between them. Diana often cried when things became too overwhelming, while the Queen was confused by these emotional outbursts. Diana sought guidance and comfort, but their contrasting personalities made it difficult for them to truly connect. When Diana suddenly passed away, the Queen's calm response was seen by many as distant and indifferent. People expected a stronger emotional reaction from her, but in her speech at Diana's funeral, the Queen revealed her true feelings, praising Diana as an extraordinary and talented woman. In 1977, Diana first met Prince Charles when she was just 16 years old and he was 29. The prince was drawn to Diana's lively and charming personality. By 1980, Charles felt the need to marry a young aristocratic and virginal woman, and Diana seemed to perfectly fit these criteria. Their relationship became more serious when they reconnected at a friend's house. However, even before they married, Charles maintained contact with his ex-girlfriend Camilla Parker. Diana felt uncomfortable with this relationship, as Charles continued to communicate with Camilla despite being engaged to her. Nevertheless, Charles felt jealous of the attention Diana received from the public. Crowds would always gather to meet Diana, while if they encountered Charles, they sometimes felt disappointed. Their relationship faced many issues right from the start. Diana and Charles both betrayed each other, and although they tried to repair their relationship, these efforts ultimately failed. In December 1992, they decided to separate, officially ending their marriage. After Diana's death, Charles helped the family bring her body back from Paris to England. This act demonstrated his respect and feelings for his ex-wife, even though their relationship had been fractured for years. Prince Philip Charles's father was one of the few members of the royal family to marry someone outside the family rather than being born into it. Because of this, he could understand the challenges Diana faced when confronting the rules and difficulties of royal life. When Diana's marriage encountered trouble, Philip tried to support her. In letters from 1992, he offered help, provided advice, and supported Diana in dealing with her marital issues. However, despite Philip acknowledging that he wasn't the right person to offer advice on relationships, Diana appreciated his efforts. She responded to his letters with gratitude and deep affection. Nonetheless, their relationship wasn't without its turbulence. Later, it was revealed that Philip had written 2 letters criticizing Diana, which left her feeling uncomfortable. A royal expert also mentioned that Diana began to see Philip as too strict, especially because he always prioritized the royal family's reputation over her happiness. When Diana and Charles got engaged, Charles revealed his previous relationship with Camilla Parker. Initially, Diana and Camilla had a fairly normal relationship. Camilla was simply considered one of Charles's friends, and she even attended one of the first public events of Diana and Charles in 1980. However, after the engagement, Diana began to have doubts about Charles's relationship with Camilla, especially when she discovered a bracelet that Charles had made for Camilla, engraved with the nicknames Fred and Gladys. Diana's anxiety grew even more when she discovered clear signs of infidelity. On one occasion, Diana confronted Camilla at a party, questioning her about the relationship with Charles. Although Diana expressed her feelings openly, the relationship between Charles and Camilla continued causing Diana immense pain. Despite experiencing much sorrow in her marriage, Diana found joy and encouragement from her strong friendship with Sarah Ferguson, a friend from childhood. Diana and Sarah were distant relatives, but their friendship grew stronger over the years during their teenage years. Diana helped Sarah become a part of the royal family by arranging for Sarah to sit next to Prince Andrew at a lunch in 1985. Diana unintentionally became the catalyst for the romantic relationship between Sarah and Andrew, and a year later they got married. After Sarah joined the royal family, her bond with Diana grew even stronger as they navigated the challenges of royal life together. A 1987 skiing trip between Diana and Sarah became a memorable moment as they playfully frolicked in the snow, causing photographers to smile, although it didn't please their husbands. However, the friendship between Diana and Sarah faced some significant obstacles. The media constantly fueled rivalry between them, making the public believe they were competitors. Diana, with her beauty and elegance, always won the public's affection, while Sarah received more favor from the royal family. Despite this, their relationship was not able to withstand the pressures, and it eventually couldn't be sustained for long. Sarah began to suspect that Diana had revealed details about her private vacation after the divorce. The situation became more tense when Diana stopped communicating with Sarah, especially after she mentioned an issue with her foot caused by Sarah's shoes in her autobiography. When Diana passed away, they had not spoken to each other for a year, leaving their relationship to end in regret. Diana's two sons, Prince William and Prince Harry, were always the center of her life. She had a special bond with her children and was deeply committed to raising them with love, care, and encouragement of independence. She wanted them to understand not only that they were royal, but also that they could blend into ordinary life outside the palace. In a documentary released in 2017, 20 years after Diana's passing, Prince William shared that he thought about his mother almost every day. He recalled her lively personality and how she always made sure her sons understood that life was not just confined within the walls of the palace. Diana took her children on public buses, participated in activities at amusement parks, and even visited McDonald's. She wanted her sons to experience the lives of ordinary people and find joy in those simple moments. Diana wanted to ensure that her sons knew they would always be loved no matter what happened. She taught William to live freely and not worry about the future. Her lessons helped her sons feel more connected to the world outside the royal family. Harry, in an interview, shared his special relationship with his mother. He remembered the warm hugs from Diana, the way she would lift him up and hold him tightly in her arms. Each hug from his mother still lives in his memory, carrying her love even though she has passed away. Harry also recalled that Diana always encouraged him to live joyfully, but to be cautious and avoid getting into trouble. He remembered her words and the comforting feeling from those hugs, the loving moments that he still felt, even as time passed. Have you ever heard the encouraging words of Princess Diana to Harry? Her advice helped him through many challenges in life. If you feel moved by her motherly wisdom, leave a 1 in the comments. If not, leave a 0. Don't forget to share this video so more people can feel Diana's love and wisdom. Diana's sudden death in 1997 left a deep pain for her two sons, with William being just 15 and Harry, 12 years old. This loss was an immense sorrow as they lost their mother at such a young age. Harry expressed that he still longs for his mother's presence every day, and despite the passage of time, he continues to remember Diana, the wonderful mother he will always love. Princess Anne and Diana were very different women. Anne, with her simple style and love for a quiet life, always found peace in outdoor walks. She kept the same hairstyle for over 50 years and valued her privacy. Anne led a life that was low-key in stark contrast to Diana's spotlight and glamour in royal life. These differences created fascinating contrasts in their personalities and lives. In contrast to Princess Anne, Diana loved the hustle and bustle of the city, often wearing glamorous dresses and engaging with the public. She became a fashion icon and one of the most photographed women in the world. Despite the stark differences in their lifestyles, there were still some similarities between them, especially in their charity work. Both were deeply committed to their charitable endeavors and dedicated themselves fully to these causes. Princess Anne dedicated herself wholeheartedly to charity work and was even nominated for the Nobel Peace Prize in 1990 for her contributions to the organization Save the Children. Like Diana, Anne also wanted her children, Zara and Peter, to have a normal life, which is why she declined royal titles for them. However, despite sharing similar values, the relationship between Diana and Anne did not improve. According to some royal sources, Anne once viewed Diana as overly sensitive and childish. Their conversations often took place in awkward and uncomfortable atmospheres. Sensing this distance, Anne began to avoid her brother's wife. The situation worsened when Diana decided not to attend the christening of Anne's daughter, citing her busy schedule. This decision only widened the gap between the two, and their relationship never improved. Diana also had a complex relationship with Princess Margaret, Queen Elizabeth's sister. Initially, Margaret had a great fondness for Diana, as she too was a prominent woman in the public eye. Margaret empathized with the challenges Diana faced and offered support and advice during difficult times in her marriage to Prince Charles. However, Margaret's support for Diana ended after Diana's interview with BBC's Panorama program in 1995. Although Diana did not directly criticize anyone, her words were interpreted as a criticism of the royal family. Margaret, who was always loyal to the monarchy, felt personally offended. After the interview, she severed all contact with Diana and never spoke to her again. Margaret even went as far as to destroy all the letters Diana had sent her and did not bow her head when Diana's coffin passed by during the funeral. The Queen Mother had a complicated relationship with Diana. Before Diana married Prince Charles, the Queen Mother had been close friends with Diana's grandmother, Lady Fermoy, for over 30 years. Some believe that Lady Fermoy played a key role in arranging Diana's marriage to Charles, while the Queen Mother herself thought that Diana would struggle to adapt to the strict royal protocols and other unusual traditions. Initially, the Queen Mother was kind to Diana, understanding that a young woman would find it difficult to integrate into royal life. However, this relationship inevitably became complex and strained. Diana was very close to and fond of Prince Charles, but she felt sad when she realized that Charles valued the opinions of his mother and grandmother more than hers. This feeling of being sidelined made Diana increasingly isolated in her marriage, as if her voice held no significance. It created a large rift between them, leaving Diana feeling abandoned. After Diana's death, there was a strange connection between her and the royal women. As there was no funeral plan specifically for someone as young as Diana, the palace used the Queen Mother's funeral plan. Despite this, Diana had a grand funeral with ceremonies arranged in advance, even though the plan had originally been intended for someone else. The Queen Mother, who lived nearly 5 more years, passed away in 2002 at the age of 101. Diana did not get along with Princess Michael of Kent, whom she considered arrogant and difficult. Princess Michael, with her haughty personality, was often referred to as the bossy princess, a nickname that may have originated from Princess Anne. Diana also called her U-boat commander, a nickname that carried a particular meaning. In 1985, it was revealed that Princess Michael's father had supported the Nazis during World War II as a senior officer in the SS. Although Princess Michael claimed that she was unaware of her father's past, this revelation sparked considerable controversy. Princess Michael faced significant criticism in the years that followed due to her offensive comments. A notable incident involved her being accused of telling a group of black diners to return to their designated area, although she denied the allegation. She was also criticized for naming 2 black sheep after famous tennis players Venus and Serena Williams. These actions caused Diana to disapprove of her, and she could not accept such attitudes. Diana faced many challenges while living in the palace. Many members of the royal family, such as Princess Anne and Princess Margaret, adhered to tradition and disapproved of Diana's modern approach. Figures like the Queen Mother and Princess Michael had opposing views on Diana, creating internal conflicts that were impossible to reconcile. Despite the challenges, Diana maintained her dignity and confidence. She dedicated herself to raising her children and engaging in charity work. Even in the face of loneliness and dissatisfaction from some royal family members, Diana used her fame to raise awareness about social issues and challenge royal norms. She openly expressed her emotions in public, something that some members of the royal family disagreed with, but it won her widespread admiration from the public. Diana's time in the royal family was not just filled with glamorous events and media attention. She endured many personal struggles and tensions within the palace. Although she gained the affection of the public, not everyone in the royal family was fond of her. Diana learned many valuable lessons during those challenging years, and she maintained her resilience even when facing strained relationships and loneliness within the royal family. There were many questions surrounding the Princess of Wales after her death, as many believed it was a planned attack. Dodi's father alleged that his son and Diana were murdered, as there was nothing natural about their accident. There were also controversies that Diana had been under surveillance by the US before her death. In an investigation to clarify the death of the princess, her sister Sarah was interrogated, and she revealed that Diana had called her from Al Fayed's luxury yacht to express her fear that she was being monitored. She believed the yacht had been bugged by Mr. Al Fayed. Lady Sarah mentioned that some believed MI6 was involved in the accident, while others thought that those chasing the princess and her lover were not ordinary paparazzi. Diana's bodyguard was also included in the investigation, but he claimed to have amnesia after the incident and couldn't remember any helpful details. They also discussed the driver Henri Paul, with controversies suggesting that he was under the influence of alcohol and illicit substances. The investigation later concluded that no foul play led to the accident in August 1997, but Henri Paul's recklessness resulted in the deaths of Princess Diana and Dodi Fayed. The case has been closed for a long time, but it cannot be denied that the princess threatened those in power. We will never know what really happened that night, as it remains a mystery. When Sarah openly decided that Prince Charles wasn't the right match for her, perhaps she should have realized that the same could apply to her sister Diana. If Sarah could turn back time, she would make better choices and never introduce them to each other. Diana was a strong and kind-hearted woman, but she lived a sad life. She deserved love for the immense care she showed to others. It seems she spent her whole life trying to be worthy, as being the heir to the throne is a big role to fill, but that shouldn't have led to the dark path of the beautiful princess. Her beauty, captivating smile, and generosity will forever remain in the hearts of many. The world may miss her presence, but you know who misses her more: Prince William and Prince Harry. They experienced a deeper love from the princess, a mother who was not just behind the camera, but also dared to raise her children in ways that many considered unconventional for the royal family. She never missed an opportunity to be a part of their lives, even with her busy charity work. She helped her children see a world beyond the palace walls and taught them what a normal life without royal titles looked like. "20 years later, her children, Prince Harry, Duke of Sussex, and Prince William, Duke of Wales, have kept the memories of their mother alive as they visit her grave. They organize many memorials and concerts to honor their late mother. Prince Charles, who has long been married to his longtime lover Camilla, now reign as King and Queen of England after Queen Elizabeth passed away in 2022. Every year, many continue to remember the beautiful Princess Diana. She may have passed, but her love remains fresh in the hearts of many. Thank you for watching this video. The revelations from Lady Sarah will surely make you rethink many things about Princess Diana and the royal family. We'd love to hear your thoughts, so please share your comments and questions below the video. Don't forget to like, share, and subscribe to the channel so we can explore more fascinating stories together. See you in the next video. What if a single ring hidden for decades turned out to be the key to the final message from Diana? When Prince William opened his mother's old jewelry box, he discovered a secret he never could have imagined. An inscription in Latin, a whisper from the past one that only those involved could understand. Do you want to know why this made William remain silent? Join us as we uncover the story of the forgotten jewelry box through time. What do you think about the secret gift that Prince William discovered? Could it be a message Princess Diana wanted to pass on to her family? Leave a 1 if you're curious about royal secrets, and if not, leave a 0. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and turn on notifications so you won't miss out on the exciting videos coming up. It all didn't begin with a grand ceremony or royal decisions. It began in a peaceful and quiet moment. At Althorpe House, where Diana spent her childhood and where she rests for eternity, Prince William stood in a room that had remained untouched for decades. The silence was profound, and the golden rays of the afternoon sun streamed through the window, casting light on the dust particles floating in the air. In front of William was a simple velvet box, once belonging to the woman the world admired, the mother he called by one simple name, Mum. He had expected to find a crown, a pearl necklace, or sparkling sapphire stones, the precious items Diana often wore to grand ceremonies. But when he opened the box, the shimmering light of ancestral treasures was no longer there. Instead, he discovered something far more intimate and simple, an ivory-colored envelope showing signs of age gently tinged with yellow. The inscription on the envelope, written by his mother's hand, was clearly not meant for the public. William, his name, written in Diana's own delicate handwriting. There was no royal wax seal, no official stationery, just the gentle words of a mother. Prince William was stunned. He opened the envelope, his hands trembling. As the envelope unfolded, it revealed not only a ring but also a message full of meaning. The deep emerald ring, intricately designed, was unlike any of the other jewelry Diana had ever owned. But the most important part lay in the note inside, written with a clear sense of responsibility for the one who would carry on both tradition and ideals. This was not just a piece of jewelry. It was a symbol, a compass, a final reminder of the mission Diana had nurtured. Upon closer inspection, Prince William noticed the Latin inscription engraved on the ribbon inside the ring, Veritas Lux. Truth is my light. It was a message meant for the one who would bear this immense responsibility. The ring was not just a piece of jewelry. It was an eternal symbol, a guiding light for a future that Diana would never witness. This jewelry box had been kept at Althorpe for many years, under the care of Diana's brother, Earl Charles Spencer. It was hidden in a room that no one was allowed to enter. For years, no one knew the contents of the box. Then one day, when the family began a project to catalog Diana's personal belongings, the box was discovered. But what had been concealed all these years now raised countless unanswered questions. Why was this ring separated from Diana's other royal jewelry? Why did no one in the monarchy, where everything is protected and monitored, know about its existence? And most importantly, why did Diana leave it for William alone? Some say that when he discovered the ring, he was moved to tears. Others recount that William remained silent for hours, saying nothing. But one thing is certain: when he left that room, his state of mind had completely changed. It was not for wealth, nor for status, but for the voice of a mother echoing through time, meant for the child who would carry the weight of both tradition and truth. What did Diana see that was about to happen? What was she afraid of? And what did she know that no one else did? Though the box had been forgotten by time, the message inside now shines like a lighthouse, lighting every path ahead. Stay tuned, as what William uncovers next could change the fate of the royal family forever. Princess Charlotte, though born into royalty, has grown up in a world full of complexities where legacies are quietly creating a battlefield. On the surface, her world seems to sparkle with crowns, festivities, and grand ceremonies. But beneath that glamorous exterior, a silent tension is waiting to erupt, a tension that began long before she was born. Charlotte, whether aware or not, stands between two royal women who have never shared the throne, yet their shadows are deeply etched upon it. On one side is Princess Diana, a name forever tied to tears and public applause. To the public, she was a symbol of compassion and courage. But to William, Diana was more than just a symbol. She was a mother, a presence that has always lingered in his life. Family moments, from old photographs to tapes with her voice, continue to live vividly in his memory. On the other side is Queen Camilla, the woman who married into the royal family but has never escaped the scrutinizing gaze. Her image, always meticulously groomed, does not bring warm smiles, but seems to lack depth. Her relationship with William's children, though cordial, lacks the warmth of a true family. There are no spontaneous hugs, no laughter around the kitchen table. While she is very close to her biological grandchildren with George, Charlotte, and Louis, the connection feels distant, with visits always carefully planned. Interactions among the royal family often seem carefully staged. In contrast, Charlotte quietly absorbs everything around her. Those close to the family describe her as a child who observes keenly always, noticing changes in tone and habits, listening more than speaking. Though just 9 years old, she has already earned the title of the most perceptive child in the family. Perhaps this is why the recent whispers about a quiet murmur, an obvious hesitation, and the subtle distance between Charlotte and Camilla have sparked such curiosity. Has Charlotte sensed the divide, felt its weight? Has she perhaps unknowingly started to empathize with the grandmother she never met, but seems to understand on a deep, instinctual level? William and Catherine have always strived to raise their children with emotional awareness, cherishing their feelings and encouraging them to speak the truth gently. But what happens when that instinct is torn between royal duty and personal truth? Charlotte's life will always be torn between royal duty and the personal truths she must face. But it is through her choices, the people she turns to, and what she says when the cameras aren't looking that something deeper is being revealed. Charlotte may still be young, but in this royal family story, she is far from a supporting character. The loyalty she is beginning to form may shape the future of the monarchy in ways more powerful than anyone could imagine. For decades, Camilla Parker Bowles has lived in the shadow of royal history. She was a name rarely mentioned, a controversial figure. However, now Camilla wears the crown officially crowned as queen and standing alongside King Charles in the historic responsibility she must bear. Despite this acceptance of her remains a challenging task. The title may have been granted, but trust and recognition from the people must be built and nurtured over time. Inside the palace, Camilla's path has never been smooth. Her relationship with Prince William remains one of politeness and outward respect, yet emotionally distant. Though William has never openly criticized her, he has also never publicly shown affection for her. That silence speaks volumes, and the true tension lies not only in William's heart, but also in the hearts of his children. With her own grandchildren, Camilla is said to be very dedicated often, organizing garden picnics, handing out sweets, and telling bedtime stories. However, with George, Charlotte, and Louis, there is a clear distance in their relationship. There are no cozy photos, no cheerful anecdotes, only moments that seem staged where warmth is implied but never truly demonstrated. And in Charlotte's case, Camilla's absence at significant events becomes even more apparent. At public ceremonies, Camilla rarely interacts with her grandchildren. Private family gatherings seldom show the closeness between her and her grandchildren either. While Catherine always nurtures a connection, Camilla maintains a certain distance, creating a boundary that is not born of malice, but perhaps uncertainty. It seems that even now she is unsure of her place in the hearts of the future generation. But children are incredibly perceptive, especially Charlotte. And that's when the whisper appeared. A whisper accidentally picked up by the microphone. Although it wasn't meant for the headlines, it was still published. What did Charlotte say in that moment? Some believe it was a comment on Camilla's behavior. Others think it was a question, an accidental doubt voiced aloud. Whatever the words, they struck a chord with those who heard them, because they showed that even children within the royal family can sense the divide. Camilla may not have intentionally caused harm, but legacy is not shaped by intention, it is shaped by impact. And if a child raised in a family that values truth and emotions starts to feel discord, coldness, and isolation, what does that say about the unity of the royal family? Camilla's journey to the throne may be complete, but the path for her to earn the affection of the next generation remains filled with questions. The smallest royal woman in this room may just be the one holding the answers. The shadow of Diana still lingers faint, but ever present. She passed away nearly 3 decades ago, yet the influence of Princess Diana has never faded, especially within the Wales family. To the public, she is a symbol of compassion and rebellion. To her grandchildren, she is a legendary figure, not a ghost, not a memory, but something vivid, profound. With Charlotte, the presence of Diana, though long gone, remains particularly vivid. It all began with the stories softly told before bedtime passed down by William and Catherine like family heirlooms. William says that Diana would have loved the laughter of her children. She was courageous, kind, and always spoke the truth. Catherine strengthens Diana's legacy through the charities bearing her name and teaches the children about empathy rather than mere politeness. Charlotte carries Diana's name, and she radiates a fiery beauty, a powerful continuation of a legacy. Observers have long remarked on the striking similarities between Charlotte and Diana, the tilted chin, sharp eyes, and emotions that are never concealed. But more importantly, it is the emotional intelligence, the sense of justice, and the quiet refusal to conform that make the connection between her and Diana undeniable. When Charlotte appears before the public, she exudes calmness and independence, leaving even the most seasoned royal watchers in awe. At the Queen Elizabeth Jubilee, Charlotte did not merely wave. She made a powerful statement with her mischievous smile and knowing gaze, as if she understood far more than she let on. And then the contrast between the two royal women became more evident than ever. If Diana once brought warmth to the cold palaces, Camilla brings peace but not comfort. She brings stillness, stability, but not the warmth a royal family needs. Charlotte, growing up in the embrace of her grandmother's legacy, can sense that difference. She may not fully understand the entire story, but children don't need the truth to recognize a rift. She knows that one woman in her life is spoken of with love and respect, while the other is only mentioned with politeness and reserve. That contrast carries weight and is gradually shaping her. Charlotte may never sit on the throne, but she could become a figure of power just as formidable. A moral compass for a monarchy, searching for its soul. And Diana's spirit, she doesn't haunt the palace. She is guiding it through a granddaughter, one who sees through everything and speaks up at the most crucial moments, the silent tensions at palace events. Royal occasions are often designed to impress golden carriages, finely crafted hats, smiles meticulously arranged. This is a high-stakes drama, but for those who watch closely, it's not the dazzling display that matters, it's the moments of silence. A fleeting moment in full regalia, lasting less than 3 seconds, went viral almost instantly. When the royal family gathered on the balcony of Buckingham Palace, Princess Charlotte subtly leaned away from Camilla. It was so slight, almost imperceptible, but the cameras caught it, and the frame was frozen, dissected, and analyzed. This was not an isolated incident. At the funeral of Queen Elizabeth II, insiders recalled an exchange that reportedly caused a momentary tension within the family. According to reports, Camilla seemed displeased with a brief whisper between Charlotte and George. This moment escalated behind the scenes. Camilla was said to have requested that Charlotte be removed from the row of seats, but William and Catherine refused. The consequences were not severe, but they were undeniably cold. At the coronation, one of the most watched events in royal history, Charlotte's gesture told a story of its own. She bowed respectfully to her grandfather, but when passing Camilla, there was no gaze, no gesture, only silence. Was this a coincidence or a choice? Time and again, these small moments accumulate. There are no public outbursts, no royal scandals, just a series of silences that reveal something deeper. The way Charlotte carries herself, the people she turns to, and those she avoids have not escaped the notice of those within the palace. They might dismiss it as the mood swings of a child, but those who understand the language of legacy see it more clearly. Children reveal truths that adults try to hide. And when a royal child raised in emotional fluency begins to withdraw, even if subtly that withdrawal carries weight, Charlotte may never speak it aloud, but she has already spoken, and what she hasn't said is what rewrites everything, the whisper that started it all. So what do you think about the signs Charlotte is showing? Is she starting to realize what's going on around her? Leave a 1 if you sense that change, or a 0 if you think her actions are still not quite clear. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and turn on notifications. This was never meant to be heard. Not by the cameras, not by the press, and certainly not by a world still haunted by royal tragedies. But in one careless moment, a whisper from Princess Charlotte broke a long-buried, fractured boundary hidden beneath courtly smiles and carefully rehearsed traditions. It happened at a garden party, the kind of event where powdered sugar on pastries hides subtle tensions, and every step is rehearsed. Charlotte, dressed in blue, stood beside her mother, her calm gaze scanning the crowd with the familiar poise. Then came Queen Camilla, smiling, wearing gloves, radiant in a pastel outfit. And then the whisper. The cameras didn't capture the words, but the reactions of those around her were caught. Catherine subtly turned her head towards her daughter. William's face hardened. Camilla paused for half a second, just enough for seasoned royal watchers to feel it. Something had been said. That evening, experts in lip reading and body language carefully analyzed the footage. A theory emerged among the crowd. Charlotte had asked, "Why is she pretending to be nice?" This has never been confirmed, but it doesn't necessarily need to be. The palace, renowned for its silence on internal matters, declined to comment. But behind those closed doors, that moment has not been forgotten. It was the question of a child holding a painful truth, echoing through the gilded halls and creeping into the hearts of a family still haunted by unspoken wounds. For Charlotte, perhaps it was just curiosity. But for those who lived through Diana's years, it carried a meaning far deeper, a ripple from the past. Because the last time anyone dared to openly question royal appearances in such a way, it was Diana who spoke out through interviews, her gaze, and yes, even her jewelry. And now her granddaughter is quietly rebelling. Not with sensational headlines, but simply with 6 gentle words. Why is she pretending to be nice? It was not an attack. It was a reflection. A child raised to trust her emotions, simply reacting to something she couldn't name, but clearly felt. And in doing so, she may have said what others only thought. Some in the company were said to have urged William and Catherine to tighten the boundaries to prevent the children from absorbing outdated narratives. But others closer to the couple believe it is too late. The legacy lives on in Charlotte. Intuition runs deep. The whisper that started it all has now become a quiet symbol, a warning, a change, a moment when the next generation subtly stepped outside the royal mold. And so Diana's voice has found a new home, not in scandal, not in rebellion, but in a whisper that refuses to be ignored. The atmosphere and the mirror. Prince William once served as the bridge between the old and the new, but now he has become the mirror reflecting the contradictions torn between 2 legacies, one born of duty, the other born of truth. And Charlotte's whisper does not only echo through the palace halls, it has reached him. In the days that followed, William was said to be silent, distant, and contemplative. His aides noticed the change. A close source revealed that it wasn't anger. It was acknowledgement. An acknowledgement that his daughter was seeing what he had learned to bury. An acknowledgement that the past isn't truly the past, and perhaps it never will be, because Charlotte's comment didn't come from defiance. It came from intuition, and William knew exactly where she had inherited that from Diana. He has spent many years trying to balance the legacy of his mother with the institution she once sought to escape. He walks with the bearing of a king, but carries within him the memory of a young man who held her hand through the pain. He married for love, raised his children with emotional sincerity, and leads with compassion. But deep down, he still bears the scars of a family struggling with itself. And now he witnesses that struggle unfold once again, this time through the eyes of his daughter. William doesn't want his daughter to bear the same burdens. But how can you shield a child from the truth when that truth is evident in family photos? Camilla, by all official accounts, has never been cruel to the children. But in the royal world, cruelty is often not expressed. It's passive, it's absent, distance, the coldness behind the smile. Charlotte sees it. William realizes that she sees it. And suddenly, the boundary between the past and the future begins to blur. Insiders say that William has become more cautious in his meetings with senior royal members since the whispering incident. He asks more questions, challenges more protocols, and exercises stricter control over who spends time with his children, because he knows what Diana went through. Legacy is not just what you leave behind, it's what you allow to continue. If Charlotte can sense the divide, if at the age of 9 she can recognize which truths sound hollow, then William must decide the path he will lead her down. Will he protect the institution or protect her spirit? That is the same question Diana once asked herself. And now, William stands before the same mirror. This time with his daughter, he is looking at the quiet shield of Catherine. If William is the bridge and Charlotte is the mirror, then Catherine is the shield, silent, resolute, and sharp, beneath her calm, velvet exterior. And in the storm of whispers, the legacy and untold truths rising, Catherine's role has never been more important or more difficult. From the moment she entered the royal family, Catherine mastered the art of survival. She learned the rules. She followed the protocols. And gradually, methodically, she became the monarchy's most invaluable stabilizing force. But beneath her dazzling exterior and dignified demeanor, Catherine carries a fierce maternal instinct. Her top priority has always been her children. And when Charlotte whispered her now famous question, something within Catherine is said to have changed. Those closest to her say she became more cautious, more selective in family gatherings, present more often in meetings with senior royal members. Not to challenge, but to protect, because Catherine understands what unspoken discomfort looks like. She knows how a cold smile can hurt fragile hearts, and she understands exactly how much weight a child's intuition can carry. She doesn't correct Charlotte's instincts. She hides them. It's said that since that incident, Catherine has begun to carefully craft the narrative of Diana, choosing when to speak about her, how to answer difficult questions, and when to let silence speak louder than words. Because the issue isn't just about protecting Charlotte from the past, it's also about preparing her for the future, a future where truth will matter more than tradition, where Charlotte will not only have to navigate the world of crowns and cameras, but also the unspoken expectations and hidden power games. And in that future, Catherine is her silent general. Some may see her silence as passive, but they don't understand her strategy. She doesn't attack. She surrounds, she absorbs, and when the time comes, she defends. In contrast, Camilla is all calculation and distance. And while Catherine displays her natural grace in public, the boundaries remain firm in private, especially now when Charlotte is observing, learning, and growing. And perhaps Catherine's greatest legacy is not her title or her charity work. It may be the emotional fortress she is carefully building around her daughter's soul. The voice of Diana in a modern monarchy. It was never just about the crown or the tears. Princess Diana didn't want to destroy the monarchy. She wanted to humanize it, to whisper the truth into a palace that had forgotten how to listen. And now, nearly 30 years later, her voice still resonates not in rebellion but in legacy. And it is rising through Charlotte. The question is not whether Diana's spirit still exists. That voice echoes through generations, through William's way of raising his children, through Catherine's protection, and now through Charlotte's quiet defiance. The monarchy has tried to move on. Camilla has been renamed. Charles has ascended the throne. New portraits have replaced the old ones. But none of that diminishes Diana's influence. Because her impact hasn't faded, it continues to resonate. And Charlotte is resonating, not through headlines, not through interviews, but through a glance, a step, a whisper. Diana wore jewelry with meaning. Charlotte wears her name with a clear purpose. Diana questioned the institution from within. Charlotte senses the imbalance without anyone saying a word. And that is what the company fears the most. You can fabricate stories, you can manage reputations, but you can't control what a child sees. If Charlotte at just 9 years old can already sense which room is colder, which hand is more sincere, and which smile is empty, then the story is far from over. It's evolving. And in this evolution, Diana's voice has not faded. It is becoming sharper. What will the future hold? The monarchy has always existed through silence, through structure, through traditions wrapped in ceremony. But what happens when the future learns to speak? What happens when that future braids her hair, asks questions, and bows only when it feels right? What happens when her name is Charlotte? The monarchy now stands on the edge. William is the heir. Catherine is the heart. But Charlotte may be the change they have never seen before because she is not rebellious. She is reflecting, and her reflection is what the crown has tried to control for generations, the truth of humanity. The question isn't whether she will become queen. It's how she will become a queen. A woman living in truth like Diana, one shaped in warmth like Catherine, or one weaving through shadows like Camilla. She may still be many years away from titles or duties, but her presence carries weight. Her instincts have made people wary behind the palace walls. Her voice, no matter how soft, is bending the steel of centuries-old tradition. The future is not in the throne. It lies in the child who one day may choose not to sit on it. And if that child has whispered the truth, the crown should listen. Because what Charlotte sees now will shape the next monarchy. And if Diana's light truly exists, it will burn brightly within her. The crown, the whispers, and the calculations, they've tried to write a new chapter. A chapter where the crown shines untouched by the past. But as each whisper from Charlotte grows louder, that polished story begins to crack. Those within the royal family hope that time will soften Diana's legacy, that Camilla's crown will shine brightly in her own way. But now the past is not just returning. It is asserting itself through the smallest voices within the family. William knows this. Catherine is wary of it. And Charlotte, she simply reflects it without filter, without fear. And so the monarchy stands at a crossroads. The crown still rests on Charles's head, but the future is quietly taking shape in school hallways, garden paths, and the whispered questions behind palace doors. A child asks why some people pretend to be kind, and suddenly the history of many generations echoes through that question. Because once a whisper is spoken, it cannot be taken back, and the truth it carries cannot either. Camilla's crown and Diana's curse. Each royal title holds its own weight, but none is heavier than that of Queen Camilla because her crown is not one given with affection. It is a crown forged through fire. Time has granted her a new appearance. The public has been asked to forget, but the echoes of Diana are not so easily silenced. And now, in the era of Charlotte, that echo resounds even more loudly. Every event, every gesture is observed with sharper eyes. Camilla walks through a family that accepts her presence but rarely embraces it. And Charlotte, quietly, perceptively, unwaveringly, has become the symbol of that unease. Camilla may reign beside a king, but she will never escape the queen who was never crowned. Because Diana left behind more than just sorrow. She left a warning. And Charlotte may be the living reminder of that. Legacy cannot be erased. The palace can edit press releases. The crown can touch up portraits, but legacy is not in the title. It lies in the truth, and Charlotte is the truth. Wrapped in silk, equipped with instinct, she doesn't choose sides, she simply sees what is. Camilla holds the crown, but Diana holds the memory of the world. And through Charlotte, that memory moves, breathes, and waits. No royal decree can control the heart of a child. No ceremony can dictate her emotions. And what Charlotte feels one day may change everything. The question is no longer whether she will see the truth, but what she will do with it when the time comes. Because Diana's story is far from over, and Charlotte may be the one to write its ending. So what does this hidden ring mean for William and the future of the crown? Diana may have gone, but her voice is clearly still there. Thank you for staying until the end. If this story moved you, don't forget to like, subscribe, and share your thoughts in the comments. We truly appreciate it. In a surprising turn of events, Middleton made a bold move that left Queen Camilla in tears. For years, Carol has quietly played a supportive role, but this action has shaken the royal family to its core. What sparked this unexpected confrontation, and how will it impact the future of the monarchy? Stay tuned to the video to explore the drama unfolding at Buckingham Palace. What do you think about Carol's bold move? Could this shift the balance of power within the royal family? Share your thoughts in the comments below. If you think this is just the beginning of a royal power shift, leave a 1. If not, leave a 0. And don't forget to subscribe to stay updated on the latest royal news. For decades, the British royal family has maintained an image as a solid fortress where secrets are carefully concealed. However, cracks have now begun to appear. At the age of 70, Middleton, with strong determination and unwavering resolve, has broken the long silence. Her words resonated powerfully, shaking Buckingham Palace to its core. Queen Camilla, A figure surrounded by controversy once again found herself at the center of a major royal storm. What stories remain hidden behind those closed doors? What silent power struggles have quietly shaped the role of the future queen consort? The battle for control within the monarchy is intensifying, and this revelation has upended the established order. Over the years, Carol Middleton has skillfully maintained a quiet yet influential role. With her steady presence, she has navigated the royal world with grace and strength, never seeking the spotlight but always holding undeniable influence. She mastered the rules and understood the necessity of quiet support. However, when she chose to break her silence and confront Queen Camilla, the revelation sent shockwaves through the palace. This was not just a fleeting rumor or scandal, but the eruption of tensions that had been buried for years. A silent power struggle had been brewing behind the scenes, and now everything had been exposed. Carol Middleton has witnessed many struggles, from the collapse of the company she built to the challenges faced by the royal family. But this time, everything is different. Carol's words carry an undeniable weight. What she shared has broken the unity wall that the royal family had carefully built. For those who have followed royal events, this tension is not a surprise. Carol and Camilla have appeared together at events, but those smiles have hidden a competition for influence. When Kate Middleton entered royal life, the worlds of these two women collided. Now, at the age of 70, Carol Middleton has spoken out, exposing the silent power struggle that has been unfolding in the shadows, revealing a long-standing discord. To truly understand the gravity of this revelation, we must look back to the moment Kate Middleton became an integral part of the royal family. At first glance, Carol Middleton and Camilla seem to belong to two entirely different worlds, connected only through the marriage of their children. However, the differences between them go beyond their backgrounds. Camilla grew up in an aristocratic family where class and lineage were the determining factors of one's position in society. She understands the rules and traditions of the royal family, the unwritten laws that decide who truly belongs there. Meanwhile, Carol Middleton, with her persistence and hard work, rose from humble beginnings. She was not born into a royal family, but she possessed qualities that surpassed any title. With resilience and ambition, Carol ensured that her daughter had the best opportunities for growth despite coming from a middle-class background. Since Kate Middleton joined the royal family, Camilla has expressed doubts about Kate's ability to take on the role of queen, although never openly hostile. Camilla's subtle dismissals prompted Carol to observe closely and recognize every slight against her daughter. However, she chose to remain silent, patiently waiting for the right moment to protect Kate's position within the royal family. No one has had a greater impact on the royal family than Princess Diana, even though she passed away long ago. Her presence remains deeply ingrained in the hearts of the public, and her influence continues to be an inseparable part of the monarchy's legacy. Camilla, despite her efforts to improve her personal image over the years, has never been able to escape the large shadow cast by Diana. And then came Kate Middleton. From the very first moment, the public couldn't help but draw comparisons between Kate and Diana. Kate's warmth, natural grace, and ability to connect with people made her a figure many associated with Diana. Alongside Carol, she witnessed the injustices Diana endured, and Carol was determined that her daughter would not suffer the same fate. As Kate and Prince William's relationship became more serious and moved closer to the royal family, Carol began to notice subtle changes in the way people treated her. At first, she tried to convince herself that everything was fine, that the friendliness of some royal members was a sign of acceptance and openness. Indeed, some were warm and welcomed her as part of the royal family. However, she soon realized the lack of enthusiasm, the cold stares, and the unspoken distance. Carol felt that while her daughter was gradually becoming an integral part of the royal family, she herself was not being received with the warmth and respect she had hoped for. Over time, she became aware that she was still seen as an outsider in a world full of power and tradition. The feeling of being ignored during gatherings, the fleeting looks of aloofness, and especially the clear separations in conversations, made her heart ache. There were times when Carol sat in a room full of people, but felt like an outsider, no one truly noticing her presence. The silence was sometimes not because there was nothing to say, but because she was not invited to speak. In that unfamiliar world where unspoken rules and class distinctions quietly persisted, Carol felt like a shadow, invisible and isolated despite all her efforts to fit in. In contrast to Camilla, the future queen was born into an old aristocratic family where traditional values and royal protocols were paramount. From a young age, Camilla was raised in an environment that valued class and heritage, with a deep understanding of hierarchy and court etiquette. Because of this, she steadfastly upheld what was considered the royal standard, including how events were organized, social conduct, and public image management. When faced with someone like Carol, a middle-class woman from a working-class background, with a simple, practical lifestyle, the differences became even more pronounced. Although not openly expressed, the discord between these two women from vastly different worlds gradually revealed itself in the smallest details. As Kate and William's royal wedding approached, Carol, as the bride's mother, wished to contribute some personal touches that would add a familial warmth to her daughter's special day. However, her ideas, born from a desire to make the wedding more intimate, cozy, and connected, were sometimes seen as an intrusion into royal tradition. Some of Carol's proposals were politely declined, while others were outright rejected without concealment. Through these reactions, the message she received was quite clear. Carol was expected to smile, nod in agreement, and step back, leaving the spotlight entirely to others. In a royal event, her role, even as the bride's mother, was confined within the boundaries of silence and compliance. After the wedding, the tensions didn't disappear, but instead simmered down and grew deeper. Carol felt that her time with her daughter Kate was becoming increasingly limited. Although Kate gracefully fulfilled her royal duties, Carol knew the heavy burdens behind the scenes were immense. Family visits became less frequent, and even their private moments were often interrupted. Even Christmas holidays, once a time for family gatherings, had become a major challenge. You definitely can't miss this turn of events. Carol Middleton, the mother who has always stood behind supporting Kate, has now spoken out and shaken the entire palace. Could this be the beginning of a new power struggle within the royal family? According to the strict traditions and rules of the British royal family, members, including new additions like Kate, are required to spend Christmas at Sandringham with the Queen and other royals. This is not merely a regular family reunion, but a ritual laden with symbolism and discipline. Every activity, from meals and conversations to dress codes, is arranged according to a fixed schedule and royal protocol. For Carol Middleton and Kate alike, this was a difficult adjustment. While previous Christmases had been filled with laughter, intimate jokes, and the natural warmth of family Christmas at Sandringham brought feelings of distant formality and a certain coldness. For Kate, this adjustment was twofold. On one hand, she fully understood her new role within the royal family and the responsibilities that came with it. On the other hand, she couldn't help but feel a pang of sadness as she had to leave behind what was once familiar and warm. Standing between two worlds, one being the royal family with its unyielding rules, and the other being the Middleton family with its close-knit and simple affection, often made Kate feel like she was living two lives. As for Carol, the mother who had always been by her daughter's side during holidays, she could now only watch from afar, accepting that the change in her daughter's social status also meant she was gradually being pushed outside the intimate boundaries they once shared. The festive seasons, instead of bringing them closer, had become a quiet reminder of the growing distance between these two worlds. In July 2013, when Prince George, the first son of William and Kate, was born, it was not only a monumental event for the royal family, but also a sacred moment for Carol Middleton. As a mother and soon-to-be grandmother, Carol had hoped to be by her daughter's side during those early days of motherhood, supporting Kate through the postpartum period and caring for her first grandchild with the closest and most natural love. For Carol, caring for her grandchild was not just a responsibility, but a happiness, an invaluable opportunity to connect and nurture family bonds much like many grandmothers do. However, the reality within the palace was far more complicated than expected. From the moment Prince George was born, royal rules and traditions were swiftly and strictly enforced. Professional royal nannies, carefully selected for their background skills and impeccable conduct, were assigned to care for the child. Every step of the care process followed specific protocols and principles, from feeding schedules to arranging sleep times. This meant that Carol, despite her goodwill and experience as a mother, was gradually sidelined. No one directly forbade her involvement, but the unspoken boundaries and carefully arranged limitations prevented her from playing the grandmother role she had envisioned. Some close to the royal family believe that Camilla, whose status and influence within the royal circle were steadily growing, may have played a role in establishing this distance between the Middleton family and the royal world. Although there is no clear evidence or public statement, Camilla's quiet support for traditional rules, combined with a cautious attitude toward outsiders becoming too involved in royal affairs, has led many to suspect that she was behind the stance to keep the Middleton family's influence to a minimum. This separation seemed not only the result of class differences, but also a deliberate choice to protect the internal power structure of the royal family, within which Camilla was increasingly becoming a key figure. The situation reached a boiling point in July 2015 when Princess Charlotte, the second daughter of William and Kate, was baptized at St. Mary Magdalene Church in Sandringham. It was a formal event, but also one with deep personal significance for the Middleton family. Carol, as the grandmother, had carefully planned a private, intimate gathering after the official ceremony, a moment for the family to come together and share their joy without the spotlight. However, at the last minute, this plan was dismissed by Camilla's office. Whether the reasons given were administrative or organizational, the manner and timing of the rejection left Carol feeling both disappointed and hurt. Her efforts to create a meaningful moment for her grandchildren were suddenly dismissed, and this only highlighted the underlying tension between two worlds, one a simple family and the other a royal family full of rules and control. What could have been a warm family moment instead became a reminder of how carefully Carol's role within the royal context was being managed. Behind the palace walls and the perfect smiles shown to the public, a quiet rivalry gradually took shape, not through loud scandals or dramatic confrontations, but through years of silent refusals, subtle dismissals, and a continuous struggle for a place in Kate's royal life. Carol Middleton, once the warm center of Kate's life and a steadfast support during the years before entering the royal family, was gradually pushed to the sidelines. Not through cruel or openly hostile actions, but by a series of subtle, cold, and symbolic gestures. Polite nods replaced genuine sharing conversations were limited by protocol, and her presence at family events was increasingly restricted, all silently sending a message she was not truly welcome within the inner circle of the royal family. Carol, who only wished to be close to her daughter and grandchildren, now faced a harsh reality that her love alone was not enough to break through the invisible barriers erected by status and tradition. So what caused the relationship between Carol and Camilla, two women with deep influence over Kate's life, to become so cold? Was it simply a difference in class and lifestyle, or something deeper? Some sources suggest that the underlying tension between them escalated significantly after Princess Charlotte's baptism in 2015. When Carol's carefully planned private family gathering after the baptism was canceled at the last minute by Camilla's office, many within the royal circle believed this was more than just an organizational decision. It was a power move. It may have been the moment when the silent struggle between two worlds, one of ordinary maternal love, the other of ancient royal tradition, truly erupted quietly but decisively. Everything seemed peaceful on the surface, but then a subtle shift began in Carol Middleton's approach to royal life. What had once been gentle efforts to blend between the Middleton family and the royal family gradually transformed into something more deliberate and assertive. For years, Carol tried to fit in, smiling, politely stepping back when asked, and accepting being sidelined. But over time, she felt increasingly isolated, not just as a mother, but also as a grandmother to her beloved grandchildren. Eventually, she made a quiet but firm decision to stop trying to fit into a world that never truly welcomed her. Though she never spoke out publicly, Carol's absence began to be noticed at royal events. Where she once stood proudly beside Kate, she no longer appeared. Her absence was not loud or dramatic. It was measured, careful, and graceful. She did not rebel. She simply chose to protect her dignity and reclaim her place in her own way. The path to this decision was far from easy. Since Kate married Prince William in 2011, Carol had struggled to find her footing in the royal world, a world not only unfamiliar, but often rejecting of her presence. The royal rules and Carol's modern values did not always align. Carol Middleton never sought the spotlight or craved public attention. She did not need titles or recognition from the aristocracy to affirm her self-worth. With strength, independence, and a progressive spirit, she built her own success from an ordinary middle-class woman to the founder of a respected business. It was precisely this resilience that made her stand out and sometimes caused discomfort in an environment where status and tradition were considered inviolable. By existing and succeeding without relying on lineage or influence, Carol challenged long-standing class prejudices, something some within the royal family might have viewed as a subtle threat, even though she never intended to confront anyone. When Prince George was born in 2013, a momentous event, not only for the royal family but also for the Middleton family, Carol hoped to play the role of a devoted grandmother, always by her daughter's and grandson's side during this important early stage of life. However, the reality at the palace was far from easy. The strict royal protocols and tightly managed schedules quickly shaped every activity around the child. Carol's sincere offers to help even with small things like caring for the baby or supporting Kate's postpartum recovery were often gently but firmly declined. Instead, she had to accept a difficult reality to see her grandchildren and be part of their lives. She had to negotiate every moment and every meeting. Carol Middleton's situation was not simply a story of class differences. It was also a matter of power and control within the royal household. Though coming from a middle-class background and with no ambition to intrude into the royal power structure, Carol was placed under supervision and kept at a distance. Every step she took, every appearance she made was carefully considered by influential figures within the palace. Her presence, even when gentle and sincere, seemed always to require vetting to avoid crossing the invisible boundaries between the royal family and the outside world. And while Carol was limited in accessing her grandchildren or participating in important family events, another woman was increasingly asserting her status and comfort within the private walls of the royal residence. Camilla, once regarded as an outsider and faced with considerable skepticism, has now been fully accepted by the royal family and has even become one of the strongest voices in maintaining traditional order. In her role as queen consort, Camilla clearly upholds the principles of propriety and ceremony, and she does not hesitate to propose boundaries whenever she senses foreign elements, such as the influence of the Middleton family, that could potentially disrupt the royal image. Camilla's firmness and recognition, especially when contrasted with Carol's increasingly diminished position, paint a strikingly clear picture. One woman once doubted has risen to become a symbol of tradition, while the other, with all her simple, genuine love, has quietly been pushed to the margins of a world she never sought to deeply enter. According to many astute observers within the royal circle, Camilla may have seen in Carol Middleton not just Kate's mother, but a factor capable of unsettling the delicate balance of power within the royal family. While Carol never showed any ambition to interfere with royal decisions or internal structures, her persistent presence and natural closeness to Kate and her children, especially Prince George and Princess Charlotte, brought about a subtle yet unmistakable influence. For Camilla, this may have been perceived as a threat not in a political sense, but on a personal and symbolic level. Two women, both mothers, both protecting their families, yet coming from two completely opposite worlds and carrying very different values. The tension became particularly evident during an occasion meant to symbolize unity, the 70th birthday celebration of Prince Charles, held in November 2018 at Buckingham Palace. This was a major event, bringing together all the key members of the royal family, along with a select few carefully chosen special guests. Carol and Michael Middleton were also present, but according to insider sources, the atmosphere between Carol and Camilla during this event was one of the most notably frozen moments. While Camilla appeared confident and at ease, playing a central role beside her husband Carol, though treated politely, clearly felt the invisible boundary separating her from the rest of the room. The Middleton family maintained their usual respectful demeanor, but behind the elegant setting, the event had a profound impact on Carol. While mingling with aristocratic friends, Camilla reportedly commented on the importance of family heritage, saying old money is more important than new success. Though no names were mentioned, those familiar with the family dynamics clearly understood the implication. For Carol, it was the final insult, a reminder that no matter how hard she worked or how lovingly she raised her daughter, she would never truly belong in this world. The tense moment at Prince Louis's concert was not merely a routine social event, but marked a significant turning point in Carol Middleton's life. Rather than reacting publicly or complaining about the growing coldness and distance between herself and Queen Camilla, Carol chose silence and patiently began to withdraw from the complex whirlpool of royal traditions. She no longer tried to fit in or cling to difficult relationships, nor did she hope to be invited to grand occasions as before. This retreat was not an act of surrender, but a wise decision to preserve her dignity and inner peace. Instead, Carol focused on her private life, further developing the business she had long built and becoming more deeply involved in community activities to which she had always devoted her passion and energy. Although no longer playing a central role in royal events, she quietly kept track of and cared about the developments behind the scenes, the stories, relationships, and ever-changing dynamics within the palace that only insiders could truly understand. Carol knew that even standing outside the spotlight, she remained an important part of the family, and would always watch over the steps of her daughter and grandchildren with enduring and steadfast love. According to those close to her, Carol began documenting every instance of being sidelined, each canceled visit with her grandchildren, every event she was excluded from. She was not petty, but she protected her story through a network of business and social connections she had built over years of work. She started hearing snippets of information, revealing how power operated behind palace doors, the extravagant expenditures, strange changes in charitable funds, and overlaps between personal lives and official duties. Although she had come to somewhat understand the bigger picture of her complicated relationship with Queen Camilla, Carol Middleton still chose to remain silent and adopt a more discreet attitude than ever before. She did not want to cause a fuss or stir up more turmoil in the already chaotic and harsh royal world. Instead, Carol chose to move slowly and patiently, waiting for the natural unfolding of time and events. However, by early 2024, the tension between these two powerful women could no longer be kept under wraps and gradually became visible to the public, drawing the attention and speculation of those interested in the royal family. Small signs, evasive gestures, and growing distance in their interactions began to be scrutinized closely by the media and public alike. The coldness and distance between Carol and Camilla remain evident, reflecting an undeniable reality. Their relationship has fractured deeply and is difficult to repair. This isn't just about one specific event. It's the result of years of silent struggle, subtle disdain, and unspoken rivalry. However, throughout it all, Carol never broke her silence. She taught her children to respect grace and dignity, but the emotional wounds remained profound. Seeing others warmly embraced, while she struggled to find time with her grandchildren, Carol felt a deep, unspoken pain. Camilla, who had spent years establishing her position within the royal family, was said to have felt uneasy about the attention Kate was receiving. The silent competition between them reached its peak during the COVID-19 lockdowns. While Camilla adhered to traditional methods such as official phone calls and carefully scripted video messages, Kate took a different approach. She used social media and casual video chats to connect with people, showing a more approachable and modern side of the monarchy. Kate's efforts were widely praised. Her warmth and accessibility made the royal family feel more relatable during one of the most challenging times in recent history. The stark contrast between their styles highlighted a deeper divide within the monarchy between the old way of doing things and the new. In the palace, a world defined by order, tradition, and meticulous control power never disappears abruptly. Instead, it shifts, adapts, and recalibrates according to new realities. At present, that shift is clearly leaning toward the Middleton family, seen through Kate's growing prominence and the quiet, unwavering support of her mother, Carol Middleton. This isn't just a transition, it's a symbol of profound internal change within the royal household, signaling the dawn of a new era, one full of promise, but not without its challenges. A new power struggle is slowly unfolding within the royal family, and with every move, Carol Middleton is proving she's not someone easily overshadowed. Secrets and tensions that were once hidden are now grabbing the attention of the entire world. Will Carol continue to fight to protect her family, or will there be a major shift in the future of the monarchy? Stay tuned to see what happens next. If you find this story interesting, don't forget to like, share, and subscribe to the channel so you don't miss out on more exciting and dramatic videos. Thank you for watching, and we'll see you in the next video. Welcome back to the channel. The royal saga continues to unfold, and today we're diving into some jaw-dropping revelations you need to hear. In a dramatic new twist, Meghan Markle finds herself at the center of a royal crackdown, and King Charles has taken a bold step that's sending shockwaves through the palace. What triggered this sudden surge in royal tensions? Stay tuned as we unpack the latest bombshells and examine the impact this could have on Meghan the Crown and what lies ahead for the royal legacy. Trust us, you won't want to miss a second. Before we jump into today's video, I've got a quick question for you. How do you feel about King Charles's latest move involving Meghan Markle? Was it a justified decision, or did he take things too far? If you're on board with his choice, type 1 in the comments. If you think it crossed the line, drop a 0. Let us know where you stand, and don't forget to hit that subscribe button to stay in the loop and support the channel. King Charles has recently taken a hardline stance on Meghan Markle, a move so unexpected that even members of the royal family were reportedly caught off guard. This bold action, revealed by a royal insider, has sparked widespread discussion and controversy. Meghan's past controversies, including her outspoken remarks on racism and accusations of leveraging her royal ties for personal gain, have cast a long shadow over the monarchy. Now, after a prolonged period of silence, it appears King Charles has reached his breaking point and is no longer willing to remain. These scandals have not only sparked controversy within the British community, but have also cast a shadow over the reputation of the royal family, an institution that has stood for centuries. The question now is King Charles's decision a necessary step to protect the honor of the monarchy, or is he using this moment to assert his own power amidst the increasingly tense internal situation? The answer remains unclear, but this move has undoubtedly intensified the drama surrounding the royal family. Since joining the British royal family, Meghan Markle has become one of the most controversial figures in the monarchy's modern history. Her statements and actions have stirred turmoil within the royal family. Rather than remaining silent and adhering to traditional royal principles, Meghan has repeatedly shared personal stories that have damaged the monarchy's reputation. One of the most shocking scandals was the accusation of racism in her infamous interview with Oprah Winfrey, where Meghan revealed that members of the royal family had expressed concerns about the skin color of her son, Archie. This revelation sent shockwaves through the public and intensified the scrutiny on the royal family. In addition to the racism controversy, Meghan has become embroiled in another public debate involving her family with Harry. Recent rumors surrounding Meghan's pregnancy have ignited further speculation. Some have begun questioning the timing of her pregnancy and how she has managed to keep such personal information private. While these suspicions remain unconfirmed, They have raised concerns about Meghan's transparency when it comes to her family life, adding to the growing scrutiny surrounding her and her actions within the royal family. Another significant aspect of Meghan's journey is the accusation that she has exploited the royal family's name to build her personal brand. Since marrying Prince Harry, Meghan has risen to global stardom using the royal family's spotlight to propel her own career. High-profile deals with major companies like Netflix and Spotify have led many to believe that Meghan has no reservations about leveraging the royal family's fame for her personal gain. This has sparked criticism from those who feel she has crossed a line by using her royal ties for commercial success, raising questions about her true motivations. Although Meghan has defended her choices, public criticism of how she has handled these issues continues to intensify. The question remains, does she fully understand that her actions not only reflect her pursuit of personal fame, but also have a profound impact on the royal family's image? While she may be focused on her own path, the consequences of her decisions ripple far beyond her personal ambitions, affecting the legacy and reputation of the monarchy as a whole. Another issue surrounding Meghan and Harry is the growing suspicion about their finances. After stepping down from royal duties and relocating to the United States, questions have emerged about how they are funding their new lifestyle. Meghan has stated that she and Harry do not receive any funding from the royal family, but many remain skeptical about their transparency, especially given their involvement in high-profile events and lucrative deals with major companies. Their financial situation has become a point of contention, with critics questioning the authenticity of their claims and whether they are fully disclosing their sources of income. The financial situation of Meghan and Harry has raised a major question within the public. Are they truly transparent about their income sources, or are these high-profile events merely a means to sustain a lavish lifestyle despite the royal principles they once represented? These ongoing scandals have ignited strong criticism, both from the public and within the royal family, prompting many to question how Meghan and Harry are handling their finances and personal choices. As they continue to build their new life, the scrutiny over their financial dealings only intensifies, leading many to wonder if their actions align with the values they once vowed to uphold. Meghan's statements and actions have not only caused turmoil in her personal life, but have also significantly affected the image of the royal family. The question remains, does Meghan truly understand the consequences of her words and actions, or is she becoming entangled in an uncontrollable controversy? These scandals pose a major challenge not only for Meghan but also for King Charles, who finds himself caught in a difficult struggle between family loyalty and his duty to protect the royal family's reputation. As tensions rise, both Meghan and Charles face a defining moment that could shape the monarchy's future. As the head of the British royal family, King Charles cannot allow the ongoing scandals surrounding Meghan Markle to persist without taking decisive action. His responsibility goes beyond maintaining harmony within the family. He must also safeguard the reputation of an institution that has stood for centuries. With Meghan's controversies increasingly tarnishing the royal family's image, the question looms, can King Charles remain silent? Or will he be forced to act to protect the family's honor, especially after Meghan and Harry stepped down from royal duties and publicly criticized the monarchy? The pressure on King Charles to take a stand is mounting, and the future of the royal family may depend on his response. While many in the royal family have remained silent, King Charles did not hesitate to impose punitive measures on Meghan. Some insiders within the royal family revealed that King Charles took steps to adjust the privileges Meghan and Harry once enjoyed, particularly tightening their financial dealings with major companies. This decision escalated tensions between the two sides. The question now arises, is King Charles being too harsh in his response to Meghan? Some argue that given the scandals Meghan has caused, these tough measures are necessary to protect the monarchy's reputation. However, others believe he could have chosen a more diplomatic approach rather than resorting to such severe punishment, raising questions about the balance between maintaining authority and family unity. An important question now is whether King Charles can achieve long-term results from these firm actions, or if they will only deepen the rift between the royal family and Meghan, making any future reconciliation impossible. While his strong stance may help shield the royal family from further public criticism, it also risks causing lasting damage to the relationships within the family. The tension created by these actions could undermine the unity of the monarchy, leaving scars that may not heal easily, even as the royal family seeks to navigate the complex dynamics of loyalty, duty, and public image. It is noteworthy that King Charles remained silent for a long time before deciding to take action, leading many to believe he was carefully weighing the consequences of his decision. The question arises, how can a family like the royal family preserve its dignity without causing lasting harm to its members? These challenges become even more apparent when considering the unique context of the royal family, where every action, no matter how small, can trigger significant shifts in both the power structure and family relationships. Balancing the preservation of the monarchy's reputation with the complexities of personal dynamics is a delicate task that King Charles now faces, with the potential for far-reaching consequences. In recent years, the private lives of royal family members have never been easy, as they are constantly under intense public scrutiny. As the head of the family, King Charles undoubtedly faces pressure from many fronts. However, his firm response to Meghan Markle, particularly in addressing the scandals she has caused, is a clear signal of how he intends to consolidate power and safeguard the monarchy from public threats. The unavoidable question remains, will these harsh measures truly help the royal family restore its reputation and dignity? Or will they only deepen the divide and cause lasting harm to the relationships within the family? The consequences of these actions are still unfolding, leaving the future of the monarchy hanging in the balance. After King Charles made his stern decision regarding Meghan, what stood out was her strong and public response. Rather than showing any signs of regret, Meghan continued to exhibit defiance and unapologetic behavior in the face of the royal family's decision. While those around her believe she should reflect on her actions and approach to family matters, she chose to openly confront them. Meghan didn't hesitate to criticize and assert that King Charles's actions violated her personal freedom. She refused to take responsibility for the situation, instead blaming the royal family for her and Harry's decision to step down from royal duties. This response has left many within the royal community feeling deeply disappointed and questioning Meghan's approach to the ongoing crisis. The question arises, how can someone continue to criticize a family that has provided them with an extraordinary life? Meghan continues to publicly criticize the royal family without fully acknowledging how fortunate she is to have become part of such a prestigious institution. Since joining the royal family, Meghan's character has sparked significant controversy. She was once admired for her intelligence and independence, but her recent actions seem to reflect a disregard for the core values of the royal family, such as privacy, respect for family, and upholding principles in all circumstances. Her approach has raised concerns about her understanding of the responsibilities that come with being part of the royal family and the lasting impact of her actions on her relationship with them. When someone continuously refuses to take responsibility, do they still deserve respect? This question not only targets Meghan, but also reflects a broader issue in modern society. Celebrities often find it easy to stand up, criticize, and oppose, but are they truly willing to face the consequences of their actions? With Meghan's constant statements and refusal to listen, she only complicates the situation further. While she claims to be fighting for freedom and justice, her actions and words present a less than flattering picture of respect and honesty. Her refusal to take accountability not only tarnishes her personal image, but also makes it harder for her to earn the respect she seems to seek. Many people believe that Meghan is using public attention to further build her personal brand, rather than addressing family issues in a peaceful and responsible manner. Her response to the ongoing tensions has also shocked the public. Many are left wondering why she cannot admit her mistakes, especially given that her actions have caused significant damage to the royal family's image. Does Meghan truly understand that what she is doing is wrong and flawed? If she genuinely seeks reconciliation, why has she shown no signs of attempting to apologize or correct her wrongdoings? This lack of accountability only deepens the divide and raises questions about her true intentions moving forward. On the contrary, Meghan's response has only made her more distant and unable to integrate with the values of the family she was once a part of. An undeniable fact is that Meghan is gradually becoming a controversial figure in the eyes of the public. Her decisions have not only strained her relationship with the royal family, but have also damaged her own image. The criticisms in the interview and the public revelations about the royal family's internal matters not only reflect a lack of respect, but also a careless disregard for the consequences her actions may cause. This ongoing behavior has left many questioning her intentions and the true cost of her actions on her personal and public life. Is Meghan's behavior a deliberate challenge or simply the result of a lack of consideration? Is she losing the opportunity to start fresh and make amends? Her actions seem to be increasingly distancing her from the possibility of acceptance and integration with the values that the royal family upholds. Rather than taking steps toward reconciliation, her continued behavior appears to drive a deeper wedge between herself and the institution, raising questions about whether she is truly aware of the long-term impact her actions could have on her relationship with the royal family and her public image. Meghan Markle seems to be treading a tense path with the royal family, unaware of the long-term consequences of her bold actions and words. Her failure to thoughtfully consider the repercussions has created a rift that may be nearly impossible to heal within the family. Meghan's arrogance and lack of self-awareness not only disappoint family members but also make the British public feel that they can no longer support her. While she continues to defend her stance, she risks losing not just the affection of the royal family, but also the admiration of the public. This ongoing defiance could ultimately isolate her, leaving her to navigate a more challenging future, both within the family and in the eyes of the world. Before we continue, I'd love to hear your thoughts on this. Do you think Meghan Markle should reconsider her approach and think more carefully about the consequences of her actions and words, or do you feel she should continue standing her ground? Share your thoughts in the comments below, and don't forget to hit like and subscribe. Since joining the royal family, Meghan Markle has been a constant source of controversy. Her lack of respect for the principles and regulations of the monarchy has become increasingly evident through her contradictory actions and statements. Beyond the public scandals, Meghan has faced criticism for acts of deception and disrespect toward both the royal family and the public. These actions not only undermine the family's integrity, but also directly challenge the core values that the royal family has upheld for centuries. Her behavior has led many to question her commitment to the monarchy and her understanding of the responsibility that comes with being a part of it. One of the most notable aspects of Meghan's behavior is her lack of transparency and the contradictions in her statements. In interviews and public speeches, Meghan frequently makes claims and accusations without providing clear evidence to support them. She often contradicts herself, leading both the public and royal family members to question the honesty and consistency of her words. The question arises, does Meghan truly understand that what she is saying is flawed and misleading? Her tendency to make sweeping statements without backing them up has only added to the skepticism surrounding her, leaving many to wonder if she is aware of the impact her words have on her reputation and the royal family's image. When someone speaks without verifiable evidence, they not only harm those around them but also erode the trust of those who once supported them. One of the most significant issues with Meghan's behavior is her ongoing criticism of the values and principles that the royal family has upheld for centuries. While she claims that she has no intention of harming the royal family, her actions suggest otherwise. Her statements about racism, disregard for tradition, and criticism of royal life have led many to question, is Meghan's behavior a deliberate challenge to the monarchy, or is it simply a lack of understanding of the royal family's core values? This ongoing tension leaves the public wondering whether her actions stem from a calculated defiance or a fundamental misunderstanding of the responsibilities and expectations that come with being part of such a historic institution. Meghan continues to escalate the issue, not only by criticizing family members, but also by publicly sharing private details of her life. Her disclosure of intimate conversations with the royal family, matters that should remain private, demonstrates a lack of respect for the family's established rules and an insensitivity to others' privacy. When someone continually refuses to take responsibility for their actions, do they still deserve the respect of others? This ongoing disregard for boundaries and privacy has sparked widespread concern, leading many to question whether Meghan's actions are damaging her relationships, both within the royal family and with the public. If Meghan truly cared about maintaining a peaceful relationship with the royal family, she could have chosen a more thoughtful approach, instead of continuing to criticize and expose sensitive issues. One of the major criticisms of Meghan is her failure to recognize the consequences of her words and actions. She uses interviews to promote her own image, but seems unaware that her words are causing harm to the very family members she claims to care about. This lack of consideration for the impact of her actions has only deepened the divide between her and the royal family, making it harder for any reconciliation or understanding to take place. Every word Meghan says is closely scrutinized, yet instead of using her platform to address issues constructively, she has turned them into tools to maintain attention and fuel further division within the royal family. The question arises, does Meghan truly understand that her actions not only affect herself, but also tarnish the image of the family she was once a part of? Her lack of respect is evident not only in her inability to control her words, but also in her refusal to accept responsibility, acknowledge the truth, and correct her mistakes. This ongoing behavior has deepened the rift, leaving many to wonder if reconciliation is even possible. She seems to believe that everything can be resolved by covering up the truth or placing blame on others rather than confronting her mistakes and learning from them. This approach not only harms her personally but also seriously impacts the image and values of the royal family. By refusing to take accountability and address the core issues, she continues to undermine the very institution she was once a part of, further straining relationships and eroding the respect that should come with her position. Meghan has not only broken the royal family's rules, but has also tarnished her own image in the eyes of the British public and the world. When examining her actions from an objective standpoint, one can't help but wonder, does Meghan truly understand the impact of what she has done? Or is she simply sinking deeper into arrogance and a lack of self-awareness? If Meghan genuinely seeks reconciliation and wishes to repair her relationship with the royal family, can she reflect on her actions, acknowledge the harm caused and make amends? Or will she continue down this controversial path, further complicating the situation over time? The future of her relationship with the royal family may depend on her willingness to face these questions and take responsibility for her past actions. When King Charles decided to take strong measures against Meghan Markle, there were mixed opinions on whether these actions were truly necessary. His decision not only affected family relationships, but also created significant division within the public. The question that arises is whether the steps King Charles took were essential to protect the reputation and dignity of the royal family, or if they were simply a way for him to assert his power in a family already filled with conflict. This move has sparked debate, with some viewing it as a necessary step to preserve the monarchy's integrity, while others see it as an overreach that may further escalate tensions within the family. As the head of the royal family, King Charles could not remain silent in the face of the scandals and strong reactions from Meghan. When Meghan and Harry stepped down from royal duties, it created a deep rift within the family, and their continuous criticisms only worsened the situation. Meghan's accusations, ranging from claims of racism to a lack of transparency within the royal family, have pushed the monarchy into a defensive position, forcing it to protect both the family and the institution itself. King Charles, recognizing the severity of these challenges, was compelled to take action to defend the royal family's reputation and uphold its long-standing values. One of King Charles's significant decisions was to reduce Meghan and Harry's privileges, particularly in their participation in royal events. He also called for adjustments to Meghan's interviews and public actions, signaling that her behavior was no longer acceptable within the royal family framework. While this action is seen as necessary to protect the monarchy's reputation, the question remains whether such a harsh response is the only way to maintain the dignity of the monarchy, or if more conciliatory solutions could have been explored. The move has sparked debate, with some viewing it as an essential step to preserve the institution, while others wonder if a more diplomatic approach could have avoided further division within the family. It is undeniable that cutting off Meghan's privileges and relationships could cause deep harm not only to Meghan herself, but also to the entire royal family. While Meghan's actions have undoubtedly damaged the royal family's image, the question remains whether such strict measures are truly necessary. Could King Charles have handled the situation differently, perhaps through more diplomatic approaches, without resorting to harsh actions? Is there a possibility that the situation could have been resolved through a direct and honest conversation between family members, rather than escalating into an irreparable conflict? These questions reflect the complexity of balancing personal relationships with public duty and whether a more measured response could have preserved both family unity and the monarchy's integrity. The answer to this question is far from simple. In a family like the British royal family, where rules and traditions have been in place for centuries, protecting dignity and honor is paramount. However, did King Charles overreact in his response to Meghan? Some argue that instead of adopting a strong confrontational approach, King Charles could have explored opportunities for reconciliation, possibly easing the tension with more diplomatic efforts. But perhaps given the current context, such attempts at peace would have only heightened the conflict further, fracturing the already delicate family dynamic. The complexity of balancing family loyalty with royal duty makes it difficult to determine the best course of action, leaving King Charles to navigate a challenging and uncertain path. What's worth contemplating is that as royals, the family faces deeply complex internal issues. The choice between protecting the family's image and maintaining relationships between its members becomes increasingly blurred. King Charles's firm measures, while necessary to protect the royal family's reputation in the short term, could also have long-lasting negative effects. Cutting ties with Meghan may create a permanent void within the family, and perhaps in the future, when things have settled down, King Charles might regret not finding another less divisive way to resolve the conflict. The delicate balance between family unity and the public's perception of the monarchy makes this decision all the more complicated, leaving room for reflection on whether a different approach could have preserved both family harmony and the royal legacy. Not only for King Charles, but for everyone involved in the royal family's life, protecting the family's reputation is crucial. However, the question arises, is it possible to achieve this without causing serious consequences for those within the family? When a family faces so many storms, finding harmony becomes more challenging than ever. But the bigger question remains, is harshness and decisiveness the only way to protect the royal family, or is there still a path to reconciliation that King Charles could choose to help the family maintain unity in this challenging time? As tensions rise, the balance between authority, tradition, and family relationships continues to be a delicate one, and it remains to be seen if a softer, more reconciliatory approach could have resolved the conflict without further harm. Looking at the future of Meghan Markle and the British royal family, one cannot help but wonder, will Meghan ever be able to return to the royal family after all the conflicts and scandals she has caused? After stepping away from royal duties, Meghan and Harry shocked the public, creating a deep rift within the family. With all the criticism surrounding the scandals, coupled with the lack of tolerance from both the public and the family, the question arises, can Meghan reconcile and seek a place in the royal family again? While time and distance may offer a chance for healing, the road to reconciliation seems uncertain, with both Meghan's actions and the family's principles posing significant obstacles. Predicting Meghan's future is not an easy task. After everything that has happened, the question remains, can she repair her relationship with the royal family, or has she permanently distanced herself from them? Meghan has consistently criticized the family, and her public sharing of sensitive details about royal life may have cost her the opportunity to return. Her statements on issues such as racism and finances have not only harmed her personal image, but have also severely impacted her relationship with the royal family. These actions have turned Meghan into a highly controversial figure, making reconciliation with the family difficult, at least in the short term. The path forward appears uncertain, and it remains to be seen whether time or a change in approach could help mend the rift. Meghan has created a significant distance not only with King Charles, but also with the Queen, the Duke and Duchess of Cambridge, and many other family members. This makes the question of whether Meghan can ever return to the royal family incredibly complex. Does Meghan truly realize that her actions could result in her never being accepted back into the royal fold? A peaceful dialogue, one that includes honesty and acknowledgement of her mistakes, might be the only chance to rebuild this fractured relationship. However, one undeniable factor is the long-lasting impact these events have had on both Meghan and the royal family. The rift may never fully heal, and the scars left by these controversies could shape the future of their interactions for years to come. Meghan's past actions have left a deep wound in the royal family, one that may be difficult to heal. not just for the royal family, but also for Meghan's image in the eyes of the public. Her continuous criticism has eroded the public's trust in her, and the royal family can no longer remain silent in the face of it. It can be said that Meghan is now carving her own path, focusing on media deals and public engagements. She seems to be building her own career seeking influence through the organizations and humanitarian campaigns she is involved in. While she moves forward with her own ambitions, the question remains whether she will ever be able to mend the relationship she has strained with the royal family, or if she has permanently set herself on a different path. However, will these events continue to impact Meghan's reputation in the future? When someone chooses a public life like Meghan's, they inevitably face public scrutiny. If her actions continue to be controversial, the question arises, can she maintain her career and image without deepening the rifts in the public's perception? While Meghan has managed to carve out a space for herself through media deals and humanitarian work, the ongoing controversies could continue to overshadow her efforts. Her ability to sustain her career will depend on whether she can navigate these challenges and avoid further divisiveness, finding a way to rebuild trust and present herself in a more positive light. Meghan and the royal family are both bound by the long-term effects of this crisis. Whether Meghan continues on her current path or seeks reconciliation, the royal family will never return to the way it was before everything unfolded. The long-term effects of Meghan's actions on her life and the royal family are undeniable. The division within the royal family will not be easily healed, and it may continue to erode the monarchy's image in the eyes of the public for years to come. However, if Meghan finds a way to amend her actions, take responsibility, and acknowledge her mistakes, there may still be a chance for reconciliation. It will require genuine effort, humility, and time, but whether this happens will ultimately depend on her willingness to address the rift and rebuild the trust that has been lost. While it will not be easy for Harry to maintain closeness with the royal family, this situation has become more complicated than ever before. He has always expressed love and loyalty to his family, but Meghan's actions may force him into a difficult position where he has to choose between his wife and his family. Can Harry continue to maintain a peaceful relationship with the royal family while his wife continues to publicly criticize them, or will he decide that regardless of the consequences, Meghan will always be the one to stand by him first? These questions remain unanswered, and the future of Harry's relationship with both his wife and the royal family hangs in the balance with no clear resolution in sight. The future of Meghan and the British royal family remains a topic of intense public interest. This crisis has not only altered the relationship between Meghan and the family, but has also deeply impacted the royal family's image in the eyes of the world. The question persists: will there ever be a day once everything settles when we will witness reconciliation, or will this always be an irreparable rift? The ongoing tension, the controversies, and the actions taken by both Meghan and the royal family have left the possibility of reconciliation uncertain. Whether time, reflection, and genuine efforts to heal will eventually bridge the divide is yet to be seen, but for now, the future remains clouded with doubt. Thank you for watching today's video. Don't forget to subscribe to the channel, and hit the notification bell so you can stay updated on the latest videos. Share your thoughts on the actions of Meghan Markle and King Charles in the comments below. What do you think about their future in the royal family? Leave your answer and let's discuss it together. See you in the next video. Welcome to a jaw-dropping royal story that's shaking the world. In a moment no one saw coming, Queen Camilla broke down in tears as King Charles III made a historic decision, handing the throne to Prince William. What broke the Queen's heart? Could this be the turning point that changes the British monarchy forever? Join us as we uncover the secrets behind this shocking event and reveal the untold drama that's been kept hidden for far too long. The truth may be more powerful than anyone expected. Hey everyone! What do you think about this royal drama? Has anyone in your family or friend group ever predicted that Prince William would take the throne this soon? If yes, drop a 1 in the comments. If not, leave a 0. Be sure to watch the full video for all the juicy details, and don't forget to hit that subscribe button to support the channel. Your opinion matters. Let's dive in and see what really happened. The throne room shimmered with the ceremonial glow of royal tradition, yet beneath all the grandeur, something far more fragile was unfolding. King Charles stood tall, but the weariness on his face was unmistakable. At his side was his beloved wife Camilla, and his eldest son Prince William, standing poised beside him. Sunlight streamed through the cathedral windows, casting a warm glow over the golden regalia. But every gaze was fixed on the man slowly approaching the throne. In that moment, history and emotion collided. This wasn't a typical ceremonial event. It wasn't a tradition carefully planned on a royal calendar. It marked the end of one era and the beginning of another. Charles paused just before the throne, his shoulders heavy with the weight of history. William stood nearby upright and composed, fully aware that this historic moment was focused on him and on Camilla. Every breath in the room felt suspended as the future of the monarchy hung in the balance. Even the most seasoned royal followers couldn't help but be moved by the moment King Charles officially placed the crown on Prince William's head. In the grand throne room where royal traditions have endured for centuries, the emotions of a mother, a wife, and a queen blended into one powerful scene. As Charles gently set the crown upon his son's head, cameras caught Camilla's tears streaming silently down her cheek. It was a moment filled with pride, pain, and the weight of everything that had led to this day. This wasn't a scripted ritual with rehearsals and perfect lines. It was a transfer of power, but also a mother's pride, a wife's farewell, and the quiet departure of a queen. William knelt to receive the crown, Charles embraced his son, and Camilla stood by in silence, overcome with emotion. This is not the monarchy we once imagined. This is the humanity we rarely see breaking through centuries of tradition. Camilla stood motionless, her gaze fixed on the two most important men in her life. Her face, usually composed and unreadable, began to shift. The tremor of emotion was impossible to miss. Her eyes softened, her lips pressed tightly together, and yet something unmistakable lingered deep within her expression. No words were spoken, but the farewell was clear. This wasn't just a formal ceremony, it was a queen's silent goodbye. The air was thick with emotion, as if the room itself was holding its breath. William looked at his father not just as a king, but as the man who had raised and guided him. That moment was both dramatic and profoundly real. The centuries-old royal rituals suddenly touched emotions so raw that it felt as though time had stopped. No one in the room dared to move. Everything paused in a sacred instant. It was a rare fusion of history, legacy, and heartfelt connection. But today the decision had been made. Charles didn't speak of his frail health, but rather of time gradually slowing. The exhaustion, the weight of the crown, and a changing world all called for a new face, a younger voice. This wasn't a retreat born of weakness. It was a deliberate, thoughtful transfer of power. Camilla turned to look at Charles, her eyes not filled with fear, but with a quiet, unspoken pain. In that glance, decades of love, sacrifice, and duty were silently acknowledged. She had stood by Charles through every storm, from scandals to the pressures of royalty, and now she would continue to stand beside him as he stepped back, making room for the next generation. "I will always support you," Camilla said softly, "all the way." They looked at each other no longer as monarchs, no longer defined by their titles, but simply as two people who had spent their lives under the public eye. Now they were preparing to step quietly out of the spotlight. In that stillness, there was both relief and sorrow. This was a historic moment, the final act of a king, the first step of a son, and the quiet unraveling of a queen. And it all happened live. The final decision of King Charles. That very morning, before the crown sparkled beneath the lights of the throne room, King Charles sat alone in his private office, lost in silent reflection. He knew that what he was about to do would change the course of the monarchy forever. The room was cloaked in darkness, heavy with the weight of an ending moment. In front of Charles, Camilla stood still, composed, yet clearly unsettled, as if sensing that something irreversible was about to happen. "It's time," Charles finally said, his voice low and steady. "William, now it's your time." Camilla didn't speak. She folded her hands in her lap, her gaze distant, fixed on the window. She had heard these thoughts before, fleeting whispers in quiet moments past. But this time they weren't just thoughts. They were a final decision. This moment held everything: sacrifice, love, and the understanding that legacy isn't just about preserving the past, but sometimes knowing when to let go. In the hours that followed, as Camilla stood in the grand throne room, she reflected on it all. Every step taken, every decision made, and now the final step into history. It was the closing of one chapter and the quiet beginning of another, written not in ceremony, but in grace. When William put on his uniform that morning, he wasn't just dressing in ceremonial attire, he was stepping into destiny. Each button he fastened, each piece of metal he attached, felt heavier than ever before. Over the years, he had been trained and prepared for this moment. But nothing could have truly prepared him for the feeling of the crown being placed upon his head. Standing at the edge of the throne room, William took a deep breath. He glanced at Camilla, who looked at him with a tenderness he had never expected. In that brief exchange, a silent understanding passed between them. When that historic moment arrived, William couldn't help but think of the emotion in Camilla's eyes and the deep pride reflected in Charles's trembling hands. He knew that the true power of this moment wasn't in the words spoken, it was in the look exchanged between generations. As Charles turned to him and gave a gentle nod, William bowed not just to his king, but to the father who had prepared him for this moment. It was a gesture filled with respect, love, and the silent passing of a legacy. The son of a king, the heir, and now the future of the crown. Camilla's tears began to fall. As the crown left Charles's hands, a subtle yet profound change appeared in Queen Camilla's expression. A single tear slowly traced her cheek, catching the light from the grand chandeliers. It wasn't part of the ceremony, not something rehearsed or expected, but it was real, so real that no one in the room could look away. In that tear was a lifetime of emotion quietly spilling into history. There was no rivalry, no tension, only gratitude and a quiet acknowledgement. Thank you for everything, he told himself. Then his gaze shifted to Charles, his father, his king, who would soon no longer carry either title. Their relationship had been tested and rebuilt over time, shaped by hardship and healing. But this moment wasn't about dwelling on the past. It was about stepping forward into the future. And for the first time, that future felt entirely his own. William stepped forward each stride, steady, his back straight, his face composed, though his hands remained firm with quiet tension. The weight of royal tradition pressed on him, but so did the weight of the future. This wasn't just about preserving the monarchy, it was about evolving it. William had prepared a speech, one carefully edited, rehearsed, and refined. But when the moment arrived, he knew that only sincerity could truly capture what needed to be said. The crown was heavy, but his voice had to be light with truth. As Charles gently placed the crown in William's hands, Camilla's lips parted, and she took a deep breath, struggling to hold back the emotions rising in her chest. A quiet sniffle, barely audible, echoed through the throne room. She raised a hand to her chest, an instinctive gesture as she stood motionless, though the emotions inside her surged. The camera zoomed in, capturing the moment without missing a beat. It was a split second of vulnerability that spoke louder than any words ever could. And that was the image of a queen undone, not by sorrow, not by regret, but by a powerful wave of love, pride, and immense sacrifice. She had stood by Charles not only through the years of monarchy, but through decades of misunderstanding, criticism, and reinvention. And now she watched him let go, and with that release, her role quietly came to an end as well. It was the closing act of a woman who had given everything and asked for nothing in return. Every step they had taken, every formal dinner, every overseas trip, every difficult decision had led to this moment. Now Camilla stood still and quiet, filled with both tears and pride. It wasn't just the crown being passed on. It was an entire lifetime woven into the fabric of the monarchy. This ceremony wasn't just a coronation. It was a symbol of sacrifice, contribution, and unforgettable moments. And in that moment, all the years of duty and devotion came full circle. The end of an era unfolded before their eyes. Then a sudden moment, not part of the official script. Camilla quietly raised her hand, gently wiped away her tears, and straightened her back. A final deep breath. She glanced at Charles and William one last time, as the crown changed hands and the Queen bowed for the final time before the public. It was a graceful farewell filled with dignity, signaling the close of a chapter she had carried with strength and heart. Silent and solemn, that moment was unforgettable. The final words of the ceremony echoed through the grand hall, and immediately a quiet wave spread across the room. No one dared to speak. The weight of what had just happened was too immense. Centuries of tradition passed down from father to son settled like dust beneath the sunlight. It was a moment suspended in time where history, legacy, and emotion quietly became one. King Charles stood tall, the crown in his hands, and spoke with steady calm. "Now I hereby appoint my son William as the next king of this great kingdom." William stepped forward, kneeling on one knee, his heart full of purpose and devotion. "I swear to protect and serve in duty and in heart." The throne room fell silent. No music, no whispers, only history echoing through the polished stones. It was a moment that would be etched into the legacy of the crown forever. Camilla stood beside him, her posture strong, though her cheek was still damp from the tears she had shed earlier. Her eyes never left William, not out of sorrow, but out of boundless respect. The courtiers watched as well, some with tears quietly forming in their eyes. No speeches were made, only solemn nods, a deep reverence for this historic moment. In that silence, a powerful unity was felt by all who bore witness. But then, in a moment of pure humanity that left everyone astonished, Charles stepped toward William and embraced him. It wasn't a royal handshake or a scripted nod, it was a hug tight and sincere. A father pulling his son close, not just to pass on the crown, but to share love, trust, and the heavy burden that now rested on William's shoulders. Camilla stood watching, her eyes still shining, though the expression on her face remained unreadable. It was an unforgettable moment, one that transcended tradition and touched the hearts of all who witnessed it. Then she moved, not hurriedly, but with each step full of grace. Her walk through the silent throne room carried weight, each movement steeped in unspoken meaning. This was her final entrance into the room, not as a queen, but as a wife, a maternal figure and a witness to one of the most emotional days in royal history. With every step, she seemed to leave behind a legacy of quiet strength and unwavering presence. Can you feel the weight of this moment? As the crown changes hands, it's not just a throne, it's a legacy and raw emotion laid bare. What are your thoughts on the modern monarchy that Charles, Camilla, and William are shaping? Drop your opinions in the comments below right now, and if this story is gripping you like it is us, hit that like button and share this video to keep this historic moment alive. Make sure you stay tuned, because what happens next could change everything. Not with gold or jewels, but with emotion. The public's reaction was swift. News editors scrambled to revise their scripts. Reporters at the palace discarded their pre-written headlines. The story had shifted. It was no longer just about the transfer of power. It was about the power of emotion. And within minutes, the internet erupted. Screens lit up with hashtags, tributes, and heartfelt reactions from around the world. William turned back, approached her, and in a moment that melted even the hardest hearts, he knelt and embraced Camilla. He didn't bow his head, he wrapped her in both arms. The gesture shattered years of tension, declaring to the world, this is family, not merely monarchy. Gasps echoed from the court's gallery. Royal watchers knew this was no rehearsal. This was genuine connection. This was grace. This was unity in motion. And in that silent embrace, a new chapter quietly began. Outside the palace, videos of the moment spread rapidly. People didn't just witness a crown being passed, they saw hearts reaching out. The moment was raw, authentic, and perhaps a glimpse of the modern monarchy we might come to expect. In a single instant, Charles, Camilla, and William formed a silent, emotional triangle. The future was set. And across the world, viewers felt they were witnessing not just history, but transformation. Videos of Camilla's tears, her unexpected embrace with William, and Charles's gentle voice declaring his son as successor quickly dominated every platform. Camilla crown soared as a global trend. But this time, it wasn't driven by controversy or conflict. It was compassion. Outside Buckingham Palace's gates, jubilant crowds cheered. Strangers embraced, sharing a priceless moment. For once, the monarchy had united people not through tradition alone, but through genuine human emotion. An elderly woman clutched her chest and said, "I never thought I'd see this day. What a beautiful moment." Tourists wiped their eyes, unsure why. The scene touched everyone, and though pundits debated its implications, even the harshest critics fell silent. A prominent columnist tweeted, "I've never supported the monarchy, but this moment, that was real." For a brief moment, history and humanity stood side by side, leaving no room for cynicism. As the cameras stopped rolling and the palace doors closed, Camilla sat alone in a room far from the glow of ceremonial crowds. The soft light from the fireplace danced across her face, the room quiet, just as she liked it, just as she needed. She hadn't meant to cry. She thought she'd be composed, regal, detached. But when Charles passed the crown and she met William's eyes, the tears came not from sadness or fear, but from everything they'd fought for to reach this moment. It was a release years in the making, the kind of emotion that only comes after a lifetime lived under scrutiny. A senior aide later recounted that she whispered to Charles that evening, "It was my greatest honor." It wasn't a line for the cameras, but a truth from her heart. She had stood by Charles through every storm. When public opinion shifted, when tabloids painted her as the villain, when scandals shook the monarchy, she stayed not because she had to, but because she chose to, for love, for loyalty, and for him. That quiet declaration carried the weight of decades spent in the shadows, finally brought into the light. Morning shows endlessly replayed the ceremony. Analysts praised Camilla's strength, Charles's humility, and William's composure. Even those who once called for abolishing the monarchy admitted this display of vulnerability might have earned the crown rare public affection. Though a few critics persisted, questioning the timing symbolism or lack of parliamentary debate, their voices were drowned out not by silence, but by sincerity. The emotional authenticity of the moment spoke louder than any policy or protocol could. This time, the royals didn't lean on history or ceremony. They leaned on their humanity, and the public responded. In a world weary of performances, authenticity remains the hardest yet most cherished thing. For once, it wasn't tradition that won hearts, it was truth. Now, after years of being called controversial, divisive, and unnecessary, she departed with grace, dignity, and a tear that said more than words ever could. That night, royal staff saw her hand William a small locket, a family heirloom she'd kept hidden for years. She gently pressed it into his palm and whispered, "For guidance whenever you need it." In that quiet exchange, a lifetime of misunderstanding seemed to soften, if only for a moment. He nodded. No words were needed. The moment transcended a mere transfer of the crown. As Camilla gazed out the palace window one last time that evening, her reflection was barely visible in the glass. She smiled, not the forced smile of a queen, but the gentle smile of a woman who had given her all and finally found peace. It was the kind of peace that only comes after weathering years of storms in silence. The message was unmistakable. This was not just a coronation. It was a continuation, built on respect, not merely legacy. William spoke of duty, youth, unity, but above all, family, not as an ideal, but as something living, complex, evolving. He described Charles's reign as a bridge of transition and vowed his own would build upon it with the support of all those by his side. His words reflected not just a promise to the nation, but a personal commitment shaped by everything he had lived through. William concluded his speech, not with royal decree, but with warmth. To my father, my mother, and my people, I am here to serve humbly, fully, and together. Applause erupted instantly, but more powerful were the silent tears of those watching from homes, offices, and phones. It wasn't just a speech, it was a declaration of leadership from the heart. Formal roles had been reshaped. In that moment, the crown felt less like a symbol of power and more like a promise of connection. The new king stood before the nation not as a prince, not as a son, but as King William. The scene was familiar: golden curtains, marble columns, and a silent room. But the voice that filled the space was fresh, resolute, clear, and human. He didn't begin with policy or tradition, but with a name. And with that name, he reminded everyone of the legacy that shaped him and the future he hoped to create. First, I wish to thank Queen Camilla. The room held its breath. William looked directly into the camera, restraining emotion but radiating sincerity. Her unwavering support, her love for my father, and her quiet strength have upheld this family. And now, as we turn to a new chapter, her wisdom and grace will remain part of my guidance. His words carried not just appreciation, but a bridge between generations, a recognition of all she had endured and given. With William's ascension and Charles now stepping back, the palace released an official statement. Queen Camilla would now hold the title of Queen Consort Emerita. It was a profound honor, rich with meaning. A recognition of her role, her years of service, and the quiet sacrifices she had made. She would no longer attend weekly engagements or international tours, but she would continue her work behind the scenes through the charities closest to her heart: literacy programs, animal welfare, and support for abuse survivors. These were causes she had championed not for attention, but as a path toward healing. William asked her to continue her mission, though, in a new and more personal way. He wanted her influence to be lasting, not echoed in applause, but felt in lives changed. Charles stepped back with quiet dignity. No scandals, no public outcry, just a father gracefully retiring, ready to let the next generation take the lead. A statement from the palace confirmed that he would remain available to offer guidance when needed, but he would no longer take the reins. It was a peaceful transition, one that reflected wisdom more than retreat. Royal biographers called it the final chapter in her journey of redemption, a moment when the nation and the world recognized that the woman once labeled a homewrecker had in fact shaped the monarchy with humility, dignity, and love. Commentators from all sides, both supporters and skeptics, could no longer deny what had just unfolded. It was a turning point that reframed her legacy. We didn't expect emotion. We didn't expect humanity. But it came, and it made the crown feel real again, a broadcaster said during a panel recap. Social media, usually a battleground of opposing views, was flooded with messages of support and admiration. Artists began sketching portraits capturing Camilla's emotional moment, while fan-made videos blended images from her younger days with scenes from the ceremony set to soft, moving music. The tributes came pouring in. People didn't just admire her, they finally began to understand her. Yet dissenting voices still lingered, questioning whether a moment of vulnerability could genuinely soften an institution they viewed as outdated. But even among the harshest critics, there was a noticeable pause. Camilla's emotional moment didn't necessarily change their opinions, but it undeniably softened their tone. And so, for the first time in recent memory, The monarchy transitioned, not with scandal, but with dignity. The message from Buckingham Palace was unmistakable. While the crown may pass from one generation to the next, honor and compassion remain. The public and media reflected that sentiment. By the next morning, headlines around the world struck a rare chord of unity. From tabloids to major newspapers, from morning talk shows to late-night panels, the tone was unexpectedly consistent. Something remarkable had just taken place, not just a change in leadership, but a rare moment of genuine human connection within one of the world's most tradition-bound institutions. Camilla's tears, caught in a single unforgettable frame and replayed countless times, were hailed as one of the most powerful royal images of the century. Polls released that evening showed a surprising surge in support for the monarchy, especially among younger generations. The reason: authenticity. For the first time in years, the royal family didn't feel like a distant institution, but a family navigating life change and legacy together. Many compared the moment to Queen Victoria's public funeral or Queen Elizabeth II's rare personal reflections. But this moment, Camilla's tear, Charles's embrace, William's bow, was something else entirely. It wasn't just symbolic, it was emotional currency. And the monarchy, often guarded and scripted, finally earned something real. The message was clear: the crown endures, but it's the humanity behind it that keeps its heartbeat alive. They were told what had happened in words they could understand. Grandpa passed on the crown. Daddy's king now. Charlotte asked if that meant he had homework. Everyone laughed. That simple moment became part of the family's peace, a reminder of childhood innocence and lightheartedness. In a quiet private moment captured in a clip, never meant for public release, but gently shared by a palace insider, Harry, had he been there, stood beside William and Camilla. He didn't speak much, but he reached out his hand to Camilla, who accepted it without hesitation. That simple, brief handshake carried more weight than any official statement ever could. It was a sign of a family trying to heal in its own way. Away from the crowds and media frenzy, the royal family gathered in a cozy dining room inside Buckingham Palace. While the throne room holds centuries of history, this warm, candlelit space filled with quiet conversation felt truly like family. Catherine gently guided Queen Camilla to her seat with a tender touch. No titles, no cameras, just two women who had traveled different roads, but now sat together at the same table. Catherine whispered something lightly, touching Camilla's hand, and they shared a warm, genuine smile. Earlier, George and Charlotte, dressed neatly yet comfortably, peeked shyly from behind velvet curtains and waved to the few onlookers. That evening, the family gathered for a private toast. Charles raised his glass, his hand slightly trembling, and said, "To love in all its forms and the courage it takes to pass it on." They drank together. Camilla smiled through misty eyes, and William looked at her with a quiet sense of peace. It wasn't perfect, it wasn't a fairy tale, but for a family often divided by protocol and pressure, it was something rare, a moment of unity across generations beyond wounds and change. Their faces were calm and resolute, carrying the quiet weight of the day, just a little older than that morning. But the image that stayed with everyone the longest was Camilla reaching out to clasp William's hand. Not for the cameras, not for show, just two souls silently acknowledging all that had passed between them, a crown, a title, and a shared burden of duty. As the screen faded to black, a voice softly closed the chapter. She stepped into history beside him, then retreated with grace, leaving behind not just a question of lineage, but a deeper question of legacy. Did this moment redefine what it truly means to be a queen? Was Camilla's quiet vulnerability more powerful than all the royal ceremonies combined? And in the end, isn't love soft, steadfast, and often silent stronger than legacy itself? In that dining room, they were no longer kings or heirs, just a family, beginning anew, closing a chapter filled with reflection and unspoken questions. The final scenes of this extraordinary day unfolded like a silent film. Buckingham's once bustling corridors dimmed to stillness. A royal car carried Charles and Camilla away from the palace, their hands quietly clasped in the back seat. Meanwhile, William stood by the gate with Catherine waving softly to the lingering crowd. We'd love to hear what you think. Share your thoughts in the comments below, subscribe for more royal insights, and don't forget to follow as history continues to unfold. As the crown passed hands, a single tear told the story. Camilla stepped back with grace, Charles left with dignity, and William moved forward with purpose. It wasn't just a ceremony, it was a farewell, a new beginning, and a bridge between eras. That moment changed everything.